Got a picture of Reagan above my fire. Next to the deer, I shot with my rifle. NRA, hell yeah, I support him. I hate my job and I hate my boss, but I love my country and I pray to God that the Cowboys win. Just clap your hands if you love our country, if you love our land. That's right. And if you're not clapping your hands, you're a terrorist and you eat sand.
Irreverent, but honest and tastefully tacky somehow. Here comes another hour of insensitivity training with Glenn Woods.
And I live in America. Come on. And I live in America. I'm American.
I swear, I really didn't want to talk about this. And then I realized what I'm about to tell you about illustrates a much larger point. Let's do this. It's a Bold Public Radio Show. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. Phone number to get involved, 844-700-BOLD or 2653. And as always, pretty much everything I'm talking about, a whole lot more. Website is boldrepublic.com. So, okay, I am looking around for real news. I like real news. Most of the stuff the media puts out is just noise, all right? And I come across this one. There's a guy on TV being interviewed, CNN headline news. He's wearing a Donald Trump T-shirt because he's a Trump supporter. They blur out the T-shirt. Now, this in part is what I mean, but I don't get into this. I mean, you can see what the shirt originally looked like if you were watching the direct feed from CNN. It wasn't blurred out. It was a local thing. Locally, a television cable network decided to go ahead and blur it out. All right, now, the gentleman in question in this case, he is a police officer who saved a young child. And I had heard about this story yesterday, I believe. There was a child in a car. He couldn't, a car was overheating. He went and grabbed some blunt object, smashed the window, got the kid out. He's a hero, obviously. So they're going to interview him, obviously. So why blur out the T-shirt? And, of course, this is a big screaming mess about media bias and so on. And I completely get it, and I understand why people are upset about it. And I looked at it, and I thought, yeah, you know, I really don't want to talk about this because I think we all get it. The questions here, let's do the questions really simple. So if he was wearing a Hillary Clinton T-shirt, would they have blurred that out? If he was wearing a Gary Johnson T-shirt, that's the Libertarian candidate for president, would they have blurred that out? Anything else? What if he was wearing an Obama T-shirt? I know Obama's not running right now. What about a T-shirt for a candidate that might be running locally for governor or House of Representatives or something like that? Would they have blurred that out? So you know obviously what the question is. Okay. So that's the easy part to handle. I think we all know that somebody there looked at it, well, you can't have the Trump shirt showing it, but they wouldn't have blurred out, let's say, a Hillary shirt or something like that. Trump, though, that's offensive, or who knows, maybe someone in the studio just didn't like him and decided to blur it out. So we can go ahead and speculate about it. I have a bigger question here. My question is to the media. While you're wasting your time blurring out some guy's T-shirt like this, hey, where are we on that story that we want you to cover? You know, about Hillary Clinton's emails? Where? Hang on a second. Let me explain for those people who didn't catch the show yesterday. Every time, it just started yesterday out of the blue, that I mentioned Hillary Clinton. And the moment I heard that, I thought, you know, that's very reminiscent of a famous Mel Brooks movie.
Frau Blucher.
Yeah, so I'm thinking it's probably kind of the same thing. But all right, so you all understand if I just say the H word? Okay. Her email. Yeah, what about the email scandal? You're busy blurring out this guy's T-shirt. Hey, how you doing on that email scandal story? Obamacare is falling apart. How you doing on the Obamacare story? Because we would really love some good information on the Obamacare story. how the whole thing just not only doesn't work, but it has been a massive disaster, and not just cost the government a lot of money, but individuals a lot of money. People are going broke over this thing. How about that? Doctors as well as citizens who just need some medical attention and are going broke over this thing. So how about that? How are you guys doing while you're wasting time blurring out some guy's T-shirt? How are you doing on that story? In the meantime, we take a look at Iran. And Iran is still harassing our naval vessels. And oh, by the way, already there's signs that there's cheating on the treaty that was supposed to stop them from getting a nuclear weapon. How are we doing on that story? You guys covering that story? I would really like to know how you're doing on that story. Hey, there's more evidence out there that Black Lives Matter is just some really domestic hate group. I would love to see you guys in depth cover that story and get into the real inner city problem of why so many people, like, for example, in Chicago, so many minorities are dying, and it has nothing to do with the police. How are you guys doing on that story? National debt's a great story. How are you guys doing on that? Meantime, you're busy blurring out this guy's T-shirt. I can think of all of these things you should be covering and worrying about, and not some guy's T-shirt. I think you have your attention in the wrong place. Where are these stories? We're waiting on them. In the meantime, people are starting to find their news in other places. They're not turning on channels like CNN as much as they used to anymore, because what tends to be there tends not to be real news and tends to be skewed. Cheryl Atkinson worked for CBS. She broke the Benghazi story and Fast and Furious. So you understand what level of reporter that she is. It was so hard for her to get those stories any kind of airtime. And when she finally got them a little bit of airtime, the media just pretty much killed those stories quickly. Even her own bosses just killed those stories. Now, as we talk about media buys left versus right, I read Cheryl Atkinson's book on this matter because she doesn't work for any of the networks anymore. She's pretty much just independent. And she exposes what really goes on in the media. And it's, yes, there is bias like you think. But that's not the real problem. There's another problem, and it's worse than you think. It really has to do with connections. I mean, you can't say or do anything that's going to upset your political connections in the White House. I mean, do you want an interview with the President of the United States? Well, then don't you write an article about him that shows him in a bad light. You better say good stuff about Obamacare. You better toe the line on the man-made climate change hoax. Oh, you better not call it a hoax, because I mean, there's scandal after scandal, controversy after controversy. Anthony Weiner, although I like you, I want to be done with that whole story. But when that story broke, the person who made it news was Andrew Breitbart. He found the scandal, he exposed the scandal, and he really had to shove that story down the media's throats, get a lot of public attention to it, to the point that the media couldn't ignore it anymore. They didn't want to. If they had their way, Anthony Weiner would still be in office. He had to drag them kicking and screaming into covering that story. And part of the reason why is, well, there's well-connected people inside the Democrat Party and in government in general, and you don't want to upset them, because if you upset them, then you can't cover the story. I had the same problem at a couple of radio stations that I've worked at, where I may have a governor come in, or maybe a state representative or a senator come in. And if I interviewed them, I was nice and respectful of the office, but I'd give them a hard time. If they were doing something that I thought was wrong, I would give them a hard time about it and force them to justify their position. I tried not to be a jerk about it, but I held the line. And at one point, the boss at one radio station said to me, well, if you keep doing that, they're not going to want to come on the show anymore. And then at some point, he turned to me and said, you know why you can't get these interviews anymore? They don't want to talk to you because Well, I mean, the way you push them, again, I wasn't being a jerk, but I was making sure to talk about things they didn't necessarily want to talk about. Well, I mean, if you've got a senator who's raising the debt ceiling when he promised he would never do such a thing, you should call him out on it live on air. But if you do that, Glenn, he'll never come on the show again. See, this is the real problem with the media. This is why you see the bias that you see. Well, we need access. And so I guess we're going to have to make some compromises in our cover to get access. That's where the real bias comes in. This is why you really don't get these stories. So when you see the scandals, the corruptions, where are the stories about the continuing IRS scandal dealing with conservative organizations that are being harassed by the IRS? Where was the Fast and Furious story? Where is the Benghazi story? But instead, though, I mean, it's good. I'm glad that they covered this little fluff piece here. I mean, it's a fluff piece. It's a good story, though, about a police officer who rescued. It's important that you hear good news like this. But to waste time blurring out his T-shirt, as far as I'm concerned, if that's what's on the minds of the people at CNN, if that's what's on their minds, then they've completely lost sight of what they're supposed to be doing as a news organization, which is why I'm so glad to see the internet and the latest phone technology and apps come along. So you can get around the media and go find the real news. Now, the hard part there is you'll have to vet it yourself. Don't just repeat something that you saw or heard because, wow, that story sounds good. You sure it was sourced right? There's a lot of junk out there. But obviously speaking, the news media hasn't had their eye on the ball in a long time, if this is what they're wasting their time doing.
Yeah, the Bold Republic show is loaded with triggers. Here, trigger, here, boy!
Blood pressure tends to run higher during the day and lower during nighttime sleep. However, many with high blood pressure don't exhibit this nighttime dip, a condition called non-dipping. More in today's AARP health tip after this.
At Walgreens, getting diabetes testing supplies with Medicare Part B is a walk in the park. Really, because getting what you need is quick and easy, giving you more time for other things. There's $0 out of pocket on all major brands like Accu-Check and Walgreens TrueMetrics, and no extra paperwork. So managing diabetes becomes a stroll down Easy Street, or a trip to the movies, or even a day at the beach. Talk to your pharmacist today. Walgreens, at the corner of happy and healthy.
Zero out-of-pocket costs when billed to Medicare and full coverage supplemental insurance.
Non-dipping is a major risk factor for stroke, heart attack, and kidney disease. But studies show taking one or more of your prescribed blood pressure medications just before bedtime significantly decreases the risk. Of course, never change the timing of your medications without first consulting your doctor. For more, go to aarp.org.
Should you be able to defend your family with a firearm? The right to own a gun was saved by just one Supreme Court justice. Now that judge must be replaced. Liberal elites want to take your guns, your equality, but Senator Grassley is defending your rights. He says not one more anti-gun justice. Not him. Not now. Not ever. The NRA Institute for Legislative Action is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Welcome to Socialist America. For your convenience, we would like to introduce you to the Affordable Care Act. This voluntary program is mandated by the federal government with a fine that is not a fine or a tax, though you'll have to pay it through the IRS if you disobey. Your cooperation, you will comply, is appreciated. To save the American family as much money as possible, the Affordable Health Care Act has caused the price of health insurance to skyrocket. In fact, healthcare has become so expensive that many companies have chosen to drop healthcare coverage for their employees. Those who do not have health insurance will be dealt with, fined by a mandated tax that is not a tax or a mandate. Your federal government looking out for you every day. As usual, employees of the state are exempt from mandatory citizen regulations. And as always, thank you for your cooperation.
On behalf of the people of Ireland, I'd like to thank the American Congress for failing to reform your tax code. The corporate tax rate is 35%, the highest in the world, almost 3 times the Irish rate. So, they're creating jobs all over Europe.
No, Glenn, it doesn't matter if you're part owner of the company. No cigars in the studio. Oh, what is that smell? Put your shoes back on. I don't want to smell that. Look, if you want good talent, you have to put up with some bad habits. Let's get back in there with the original bad habit boy, Glenn Woods.
It's a Bold Republic radio show. No, I remembered. I just stumbled for a moment. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. Phone number to get involved, 844-700-BOLD or 2653. Now that I spent a whole, like 10 minutes or 12, something like that, telling you that we need to be out there covering real news. By God, that's instead of the crap that the media throws at you, which is why I'm picking up this story next here about midget tossing. So, well, I think you guys can do a lot better than that. We're talking about midget tossing. Come on, let's hear it. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. No, this story, all right already. This story comes when I came across a meme on the internet. Legalize midget tossing, said the meme. And I looked at that and I thought, oh, that's right. It was made illegal a while ago, wasn't it? Yes, it was. Midget tossing was made illegal. Now, it started in Canada, where there was a midget tossing, and they call it dwarf tossing too. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, all right, here's the idea. You see a sign out front somewhere of some bar that says they're going to have dwarf tossing or midget tossing. And sure enough, a bunch of guys have a little too much to drink, and there's some midget there who's got a helmet on and some padding. And they do have a lot of padding, like several air mattresses and stuff like that. And the idea is to prove what kind of a man you are by picking up the midget. And he's wearing a harness so you can hold him. And you've got to heave ho and toss him as far as you can possibly toss him. Now, in the video that I've seen of this thing, it doesn't look to me like the midgets are actually sorry about it. They seem to be having a good time. Also, they get paid to be there. Canada was the first country to ban it. Now, banning it didn't happen right away. They had to stop it. Okay, I am leaning toward a bigger, more important point on all of this. Hang with me, will you please? Don't get upset because, trust me, this is going somewhere, I promise. It's midget tossing, for God's sakes. Okay, want to know that you're with me on this. After that, France banned it, and then a couple in Florida, in the United States, in Florida, they're a midget couple, and they were really annoyed and thought this was just wrong that this midget tossing stuff was going on, and so they had a law passed that banned it in the state of Florida. Now, where it's legal and where it's banned, I guess depends on where you are in the United States. As far as I know, it still happens, but there are places where it's banned. All right, here's my overall point on this. So you have some nightclub that decides that they want to do something different to entertain and to draw a crowd. I mean, how do they make money? You get as many people in the bar as possible, and you do something that they want to drink and do. So you have to hold special events. So you get a hold of, I don't know, what do you think maybe the midgets travel a circuit or something like this? For if you're going to have a midget tossing thing, is it like a circuit? They travel around the country? I don't know. But okay. So they decide to have one of these midget tossing nights. Now the people, the owners of the bar are perfectly okay with this. The customers in the bar are very happy about it. They can't wait to show up and do this. The midgets that arrive to do this, well, they're making money, and their answer is, yeah, whatever. And again, when I watch midget tossing, yes, in order to research this, I watched some midget tossing. And the midgets seem to be having a really good time as well. They just thought it was fun. They thought it was funny. I didn't see any bad expressions on their faces. But somebody has to come along. That's wrong. You can't do that. Everybody's happy except one busybody that has to step in and get some law passed, shutting down what is a perfectly good time. This is Glenn, who's on the phone.
This is Scott.
Yes, Scott.
Hey, two things. I don't know if you've played that Bill Clinton thing that I tagged you in.
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay.
No. Oh, no, wait.
Two.
I'm sorry. I played that yesterday.
Oh, did you?
I did, yeah. Oh, yeah. I had to talk about that, yeah.
And then the second thing, and the most important thing is, you should sponsor it to come to Gillette. The
Midget tossing
thing.
in Gillette. The first thing we would have to find out is, did Gillette make midget tossing illegal? And the second thing is, if I were to do a midget tossing event here in Gillette, would you be like the first or second person to show up and sign up?
I would probably be the first.
There you
as
go.
long as you
There you
can
go.
get
Yeah.
our mayor to say it's okay, because you know how much they like to spend money.
That would be a great test to see the bounds of liberty in the town that you and I live in. Would the mayor get upset and shut down something that everybody wants to do, including the midget?
I don't know. Let's go for it.
Let's put it to the test. I think this is a great way to test it. Thanks for calling in. I appreciate it. So, no, that he's got a good point there. Why not? When whatever town you're listening in, just go ahead and schedule a midget tossing event and test the bounds of liberty in your town. If you're okay with it, everybody that's showing up that night's okay with it, the midget's okay with it, everybody's having a good time. Except some busybody that decides, well, you can't do that because that's offensive and wrong. Then you get to test the bounds of freedom and liberty in the town that you live in. Wow, what a great test for liberty. I mean, seriously.
Pacific Radio Show. I am a man. Thank you.
You know, a lot of people buy expensive razors to get a great shave. Some people even belong to Razor Club. And while a good razor certainly does go a long way, none of that means a thing if you haven't properly prepared your face or your legs or your underarms or wherever for that shave. It's the preparation that's the key. That's where Shave Secret comes in. You don't need any soaps or oils or aftershave, none of that. Shave Secret is the best shave ever. Simply put, the best shave ever. 100% natural oils. Comes in a little bottle that looks like an eyedropper bottle. Just wet the face, 3 drops. It doesn't even lather. It'll help heal any nicks and cuts, helps with dry skin, rashes, shave bumps, ingrown hairs, and a whole lot more. And it's a perfect size to travel with, too. Look them up online. Shave Secret. It's simply the best shave ever. A 100% natural product that'll prepare your face for the shave. Shave Secret.
Bold Republic.
The Chechen dictator, Ramzan Kadyrov, posted a surveillance-like video where you and another opposition leader look like being in crosshairs. Given that your friend and colleague Boris Nemtsov was killed last year, and given that you were nearly poisoned to death, what do you think of this instance of harassment?
Well, given Mr. Kadyrov's background and reputation, both Mikhail Kasyanov and I consider this video to be a direct threat, to be a direct and public incitement to murder. And in fact, we have already submitted an official request for a criminal probe into this posting, this publication. In fact, in the last few weeks, we have seen a whole series of what seem to be coordinated attacks and threats issued by Mr. Kadyrov himself, as well as his close henchmen, against Kremlin opponents, against Russian opposition leaders. And frankly, I think this whole series of events is a direct result of the brazen impunity that has surrounded the assassination of our friend, my friend, Russian opposition leader Boris Nemtsov, who was gunned down 200 yards away from the Kremlin nearly a year ago in February 2015. Despite the fact that traces of this crime evidently lead to Grozny, or at least through Grozny, absolutely, or at least through the capital of Chechnya. And despite the fact that those arrested on suspicion of murdering Boris were serving members of the Interior Ministry of the Russian Federation
Praetorian
in
Guard,
Chechnya,
I would think.
absolutely. Despite the fact that Mr. Kadyrov publicly called the man accused of killing Boris Nemtsov to be, quote, a true patriot, end of quote. And despite the numerous requests by the lawyers representing Boris Nemtsov's children to question Mr. Kadyrov regarding this case, he wasn't questioned even formally by the investigators. We hear no criticism of him or his actions or his public threats from the Kremlin. In fact, we hear the opposite. We continue to hear laudatory statements from the top Russian leadership with regard to Mr. Kadyrov. But on the substance of your question, yes, we know that it's a dangerous vocation to be in opposition to Vladimir Putin's regime. We have seen too many confirmations of that already. So we know the risks, we understand the risks, but frankly, I think those who view the future of Russia differently from what the present regime does, we have no right to stand down or to give up or to run away because, it's our country and we have to fight for it.
America's abundant, low-cost supply of natural gas has become a magnet for manufacturing investment. Take chemical and plastics manufacturers. They're investing $153 billion in 246 new facilities across the country. The result? Nearly 300,000 new American jobs. Made in America is alive and well. Learn more at energyfromshale.org.
Okay, this looks good, but we need to add those amendments. I propose this. Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech.
Hold on. Any speech?
Basically, yes, any speech.
What about biased and disrespectful speech?
Oh, right. Yeah, let's ban that.
Political speech we disagree with?
Yep, that too.
Microaggressions.
Gone.
What's a microaggression?
Like saying America is a melting pot or the land of opportunity.
Should we ban religious symbols?
Well, yes, of course.
Wait.
Satirical April Fool's Day jokes?
Not allowed.
Oh, come on.
Inappropriately directed laughter.
Ha. You guys are kidding, right?
What about our comedians and rappers?
Disinvite them and send them away.
What?
Taco Tuesday parties?
No, that's cultural appropriation.
Chalked messages.
Twitter and Yik Yak?
Shut down access.
Shut it down?
How will we police this unlawful and dangerous speech?
We'll tell people to turn each other in. Then we'll presume they're guilty and give them no due process rights.
Maybe we limit all questionable speech to a free speech zone, a designated place where you can say anything you want.
And should they tell us what they plan to say there first?
Yes, great idea. They should. And pay a fee for the space and show us all of their materials. All in favor?
Aye.
Nay.
Okay, the ayes have it. Moving on. Second Amendment.
It's the Bold Republic Radio Show. Officially wrapping. Well, something, we're going through a Labor Day weekend here. This is a long weekend that people have up. And the weather's where we are anywhere, with the studios of American Standard Media, it's supposed to be a really nice looking, several days here. So I hope you guys have a good time with that. Whatever you do not think about, let's say, stuff like this. Your National Debt Clock Countdown for September 1st, 2016. 19 trillion, 442 billion. And now a message from future generations.
Wait a second. How did you get the technology to ask future generations what they thought about this?
Well, we built a very expensive communication device to talk with you. It only cost about $5 trillion.
We could have used that money for food, you know.
This has been your National Debt Clock Count. Also, I want to apologize for something here, because for those just joining me, what I was doing in the last segment was a story about midget tossing and making midget tossing, or as some call it, dwarf tossing, whichever one breed you might be using, making it legal again, because in so many places around the country and around the world, it's illegal. Now, my point was, look, it's not about the midget tossing. It's about busybodies who want to run your life. Something offends their sensibilities, you're supposed to stop. The people in the bar have no problem with it. The midget who's being paid to be there and get thrown has no problem with it. He's all padded up. He's got a body harness so you can pick him up and throw him. He lands on a big pile of air cushions. Nothing bad is happening. Everybody's laughing, including the midget, drinking and having a good time. But because somebody out there, it offends their sensibility. I mean, you can't do that. And they make it illegal. And these buzzkills take the fun away from for everybody. So, it's a good idea. Our first caller of the day had a great idea. In your town, wherever you are, schedule midget tossing. Just find a bar and set it up to have it done. If your mayor or anybody in town shows, you can't do that. We're making that illegal because everybody wants to do it, including the midget. Then you don't really live in a free town. You live in a town that's run by a bunch of busybodies. And that was just a way to test to see the boundaries. Okay? Now, what I really want to apologize for is I put that whole bit together. And for those watching on the video stream there, how you doing? You saw the pictures that I had to go with that? Yeah, but I forgot the sound effect, though. And that's really what I'm apologizing for. I was going to play this here. See, I thought of everything while putting this together today. But for some reason, I forgot to throw the sound effect in. One more time. Now, I'm going to save that. If I ever, for some reason, if ever in my radio career, I have the need to talk about midget tossing again, I'll have that sound effect ready to go. Let's go to Florida right now. Media hyperventilating. There is it's now reached a Category 1 hurricane. And it's, as some media says, barreling toward the Florida coast. All right, let's stop for just a minute. Remember what I've always told you about the news media? The media does not report news. They report controversy and hype. And when they cannot find it, they will create it. They have to get your attention and keep your attention. Now, a major storm has not hit the United States since Hurricane Katrina. And that was, 10 years ago, folks? A little longer than that? A major storm has not hit. And when they say superstorm, Sandy was not a superstorm. In fact, Sandy was weaker than this storm. So we have not had a major storm in that long. We were supposed to get more hurricanes than ever before, more dangerous than ever before. That's simply not the case. So let me tell you what's happening. I grew up in Florida. In fact, the island that I grew up on, I'm looking at the satellite photograph of this. Yeah, it may have gotten some rain off of it, but I'm so much down toward the Everglades. Tampa's getting some really good rain. It's going to hit up in the Florida Panhandle area. Now, people in the Panhandle, they're used to it. If you live in the Panhandle, you know what to do. You go get the 2x4s and mostly plywood. You get your drill gun out. And you start boarding up the windows. You just basically drill the plywood over top of your windows. No, you don't put the drill through the glass off to the side there. Many homes in Florida come with holes already preset around the windows. So when you go to drill the plywood on, you already have a hole. You're not putting a fresh hole into your house. The homes are made that way up in the Panhandle. So these people are used to this. They know what's coming. Now, as far as the severity of the storm, a Category 1, look, a hurricane's bad. They always are. Good idea is just to get out of the way. It's stupid to stay. Just don't stay. Just get out of the way. All right. So they're getting ready for this, and damage will be done, of course. But what does the media have to do? Get your attention, keep your attention, and make the headlines sound as big as possible. As hurricanes go, this is kind of a wimpy storm. Still worth preparing and getting out of the way, but it's wimpy. But that's not what you're going to hear from the press. Oh, and then before the storm even hits, I guarantee you, if it hasn't happened already, you're going to hear this in the next day, probably by the end of today. Well, this storm wouldn't have been happening if human beings and climate change and SUVs and CO2, because that's what causes storms like this. I got news for you. The storms like this have been really blowing across Earth since Earth had an atmosphere. That would be billions of years. There's absolutely nothing unusual happening here. The only thing that's different, actually, a state like Florida needs a tropical storm now and then, as far as, well, if you were to get out into the woods, into the swamp areas, into the bayous, it cleanses, kind of like the fires that we've had out here in the Dakotas, Montana, Wyoming. The fires out here are actually good. They cleanse the area and things restart. Well, the tropical storms in southern areas do essentially the same thing. It's good for nature. It needs the wet. The trees need to be trimmed. The waterways need to be flushed out. It cleanses the area, and then everything starts growing back again. The only reason that this really sucks is for human beings, because human beings moved into where hurricanes tend to hit, just like the fires that we've been experiencing out here in the West. Human beings put up whole communities in fire zones, like in California, with the fires in California. Oh, what beautiful hills those are. Let's put houses up there. Okay, well, we can go ahead and do that. Just understand, every so often, fires go ripping through there. It's just part of nature. It has nothing to do with us. So that's what you're going to have to put up with over the weekend. They've already sent reporters to the hurricane zone, and they're already hyperventilating. And Al Gore and Barack Obama are already preparing their line on why you caused this massive storm. And you've heard it all before, haven't you?
Let off a little steam. Yep, that's why we installed phone lines into the studio. Call Glenn now. Old Republic is on the air.
Hello, Americans. Rod here with My Made in America store here in Gillette, Wyoming. Did you know if every American spent an extra $3.33 on U.S.-made goods, it would create almost 10,000 jobs here in our country? We would like to thank all those who support American jobs. You are the solution for the economic problems we have today. Don't forget to ask about our military and first responder discounts. Never forget your veterans. God bless America. Buy American. It matters. Check us out online. MyMadeInAmericaStore.com.
She's one of the wealthiest women in politics. Combined income, $30 million. Tours the world on private jets. Protected by armed guards for 30 years. But she doesn't believe in your right to keep a gun at home for self-defense.
I fully appreciate how hard life is for so many Americans today.
An out-of-touch hypocrite. She'd leave you defenseless. The NRA Political Victory Fund is responsible for the content of this advertising.
24/7, 365. Hospitals are there for us when we need them, whenever we need them. We turn to paramedics, nurses, and doctors on some of our toughest days, and some of our very best. And 24/7, 365, the oil and natural gas industry works to get them the energy that makes their work possible. Learn more at energytomorrow.org.
She wouldn't acknowledge you at a press conference if she had one.
emails on her own server because it's convenient. As a Clinton, foreign governments donate to her. She is the least transparent person in the world. She emails often, and when she does, the public can't see it. Stay secretive, my friends.
Are you a liberal who actually said out loud that you would leave the country if a Republican was elected president?
I'm reserving my ticket to get out of here if he wins. Only because he probably have me deported anyway.
If any Republican gets nominated, I'm going to move to Canada with my entire family.
I'm sure you meant elected, not nominated. And you're sure Canada really wants you?
Now, I know some of you are saying that you'll move to Canada. Please don't.
Well, let it never be said that conservatives are not compassionate, because now a free service brought to you by Taxing the American People will help you move today with Move-A-Lib. With Move-A-Lib, we will arrive at your door the moment that the election is settled. Our fleet of Move-A-Lib professionals are anxious to get your sorry butts out of here immediately. Need more than one truck? Oh, for God's sakes, we'll take care of that for you. No problem. Can't afford a plane ticket? We'll put you on a boat. Just name a country and we'll provide all the documentation to send you there as quickly as possible. Once you leave, you're not welcome back. And please don't let the screen door hit you in the ass on the way out. Call today. 1-800-MOVE-A-LIB. That's 1-800-MOVE-A-LIB. Reserve your moving van before November.
All right, I think I got this. He makes it his business to know the government's business and how they're all up in your business so you can go about your business. Where was I going with this? Kind of lost track. Anywho, Glenn is back on the air now. Yep, there he is.
It's the Bold Republic Radio Show. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. This is going to be a really interesting weekend as we get into the long weekend. As we head on down, I'm going to head on down to Venezuela real quick for you, because something is happening right now in Venezuela, which we all knew eventually was going to happen. But here we go right now. Venezuela, there are these, hear this? Yeah, that is a stream that's coming live from downtown Venezuela. Now, for those that are listening, you can't really see what this looks like. There's a massive crowd. I mean, it looks like the entire city has turned out and is walking up this main boulevard. I've really never seen such a march in my entire life. This is protests against the government in Venezuela that's going on right now. I mean, they have just really had it with their leadership. And of course, for all of the socialists, I would like to know, socialist actors out there, especially in Hollywood, I would like for them to explain this. Is it possible? Because, look, Venezuela was a perfect example of a socialist utopia. They were doing everything right in Venezuela. Then how do you have literally people starving, a police state, and reached a point now that the entire country has turned out into the streets and they've just had enough? Now, what I worry about is that are the people asking for the right thing? Here's what the people should be asking for. We've had enough. Obviously, socialism doesn't work. Give us our free markets back. If they're asking for the government to step up and take care of them and fix these problems, well, the fact that the government's trying to take care of them is the problem in the first place, and that's not what they should be asking for. So let's see. Right now, it's a peaceful protest. Let's see what the government of Venezuela does. I'm really curious to see if they listen or do they decide to take military action. But here's some of the story from the website that this is Hot Air Blog that I'm reading from. dressed in white and chanting, "This government will fall." Hundreds of thousands of opposition supporters took to Venezuela capital to press to an end for the socialist leader and his rule. Protesters streamed into Caracas from the Amazon jungle to the Western Andes. That's why the crowd's so huge, from all over the country. The opposition coalition estimated at least 1 million people took part in rallies and demanded a recall referendum. We're going to bring down Maduro, hopefully not the cigars, say some of the people. No, Maduro cigars are some of the finest. Some of them swearing loyalty to Chavez's legacy. There are those who stand in opposition to the protesters. Let's see. The president is mocking what he said is a low turnout of about 30,000 people. Well, once again, this is for those people watching on the video stream. You'll see what I mean. I'm going to go ahead and play it again for you. Please tell me if this looks like a low voter turnout or a low turnout. I think the million number is about right in what's happening in Venezuela right now. Now, in the meantime, down in Brazil, was it Brazil? Yeah. They've overthrown their leader there. Well, and it was peaceful, though. And what happened was, believe it or not, a libertarian movement. Yeah, believe it or not, libertarians in the country were able to get some kind of a movement going. Because, again, socialism has just flat out failed there. And they were able to find corruption charges against their leaders. They were able to get... Now, the trick is, and here's the important part. Okay, so you got your leader thrown out. And you replace it with what? Now, if you're going to replace it with a lot of liberty and freedom, and great. Here's the difference. And I was thinking once again today about how to explain. You know, I like to simplify my arguments. How to explain to people the difference between socialism and free market capitalism. So I came up with, I guess you can call it a pie analogy. All right, in socialism, here's how they say it's going to work. There's a big pie that's going to be made by everybody in the country, right? Everybody is told what work they're going to be doing. They're assigned work. Everybody does the work. All the materials go into making this massive pie. Then the powers that be, government that was in charge of the operation, comes along and evenly divides up the pie between everybody in the country. Now, that's the way they tell you it's going to work. So it sounds attractive, doesn't it? There's no way this could fail if everybody just cooperates. Hey, just do your assigned job. All the ingredients are added. The pie is made. You'll get your slice, and everybody gets an equal and fair slice. Who could be against that? But of course, as we see in Venezuela, as we see in North Korea, as we see in China, as we see in the old Soviet Union, Cuba, the people at the top are fat. They're getting a bigger slice of the pie. And everybody else, they're getting crumbs. And because the people that are getting crumbs are tired of getting crumbs, they're not so inclined to work. They're told to work harder, but for what reward? They don't get any more. And so the system falls apart. It always does. It always has. It always does. Here's why free market capitalism works. You want a pie? You are in charge of making your own. Don't look at the people around you. Some people are going to work really hard. I mean, really hard. And they're going to make a nice big pie for themselves. And then they're going to put ice cream and whipped cream on top and a cherry. Other people are kind of lazy, and when they get done, they'll have a small little pie that's enough for maybe one person, kind of. But they weren't willing to put out that much work for it. But you are in charge of your own pie. That's the way a free market system works. So would you like a slice of the American pie? Don't look at government to give it to you. Don't look at Obama to give it to you. Don't look at Congress to give it to you. Don't look at your governor to give it. That was your job. You're supposed to go out there and find the ingredients and put the whole thing together. If you want a bigger pie, Make a bigger one for yourself. That's your responsibility. Now, you're not supposed to look at your neighbor's pie and decide, well, his is bigger than mine. That's not fair. And then go get the government to take some of his pie and give it to you by force. He better, or else. That's not the way a free market system works. Yes, it is life without a net in a free market system. But every country that does it that way, that leaves it up to the individual to go make his own, those are the countries that are rich, that are successful. Now, if you're looking for perfection, and here's part of the problem that I think socialists don't understand. They're looking for perfection. It always works every time. No. There are people out there who make mistakes, who fail, who wind up broke. It happens. But there's always a chance to get back up and try again and keep trying until you get it right. And so there's a much greater level of success in countries where people are in charge of their own success. Not in countries where, well, you're told that you're going to be working in this job and you're going to be getting this much of a ration. And that's why socialist countries never have anything in the grocery stores like Venezuela. So I wonder if the people of Venezuela are actually asking for a free market solution for freedom. Because if what they're doing is asking for government to step in and fix the problem, well, that's how they wound up with the problem in the first place, is they asked government to fix all of their problems. And you see where it led them.
You critics don't define our honor. You try to shame us for doing our job. You teach children to fear us, crowds to attack us, and good people to doubt us. But we will never back down from our sworn duty to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America. We wake up every day, put on our badge, strap a gun to our hips, kiss our families goodbye, and put our lives between the law-abiding and any criminal who threatens their rights. We serve people of every color and creed, men, women, and children in violent, dangerous neighborhoods, because they have the same right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness as CEOs, movie stars, and the political elite. We are Americans, and we are the American police officer. We stand with the National Rifle Association of America, and the NRA stands with us. Together, we're freedom's safest place.
Oh, you know, it's really hard to sleep when you haven't shaved your legs.
Too noisy?
And scratchy. And what happened to those smooth legs I love so much?
Well, it's winter and I hate shaving in the winter. The stubble sticks to my legs, sticks to my leggings when I get dressed, and ingrown hairs, nicks, razor burn.
Okay, wow. Too much information. I get it. Tell you what, next time you're in the bathroom, try that bottle of Shave Secret I have. Just moisten the area. Add a couple of drops of the clear liquid from the bottle. That's it. You don't need to lather up or put anything on for skin irritation after.
But the stubble still comes back.
You know, I have a good clean shave every day, right?
Well, yes.
So go use my Shave Secret so you don't have to feel uncomfortable during wintertime.
Aw, you really care. Come here and snuggle.
Okay, that really hurts. It's like cuddling with a baby porcupine who just fell in love with a sheet of sandpaper.
I'll go shave now.
Disgraced former New York Congressman Anthony Weiner is at it again. This time he sent a photo of his little wiener sitting right next to his clothed but physically erect penis. That's right. Weiner's latest sexting scandal includes a picture of him posing in bed next to his sleeping toddler son, or as at least one critic is saying, ew, 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 ew. The critic, by the way, is me. I'm Steve Green, and this is The Right Angle on the return of Carlos Danger. Gents, I won't bore you with all the details, except to say three things. First, we're still not sure exactly how this latest photo of Carlos Danger in all his glory became public. Second, the conversations between Weiner and his digital paramour got so graphic, at least on his end, she seemed to deflect it, that it featured an obscene emoji hand-drawn by Weiner himself. And third, that the woman, believe it or not, is a Trump supporter and a member of the NRA, and has been described by at least one political commentator as, wow. That commentator was me. Scott, this Trump angle, it intrigues me. Do you think Weiner was set up?
Well, that would be the obvious conclusion. With and frankly, I'm all for coming to conclusions without any facts or justification for those conclusions. But no, I obviously I don't know if that was the case or if it was just a matter of happenstance and something that the media can now rub their hands together gleefully over. But to me, it's, you and I have discussed this before. If it weren't real people, if this happened in a movie, it would be, but because it actually affects human beings, including a little child, and a woman who, for whatever you think of her political bent and her loyalty to Hillary Clinton, seems to have tried everything possible to save her marriage to this despicable human being. It's, to me, it's hard to find joy in this situation. Not that I think you're finding joy, but I mean, it's sad, it's sick, it's twisted. And I think that it's probably a story that happens all too often across the country. What is fascinating from sort of a psychological viewpoint is, how does this guy not get help? How does he resist all the efforts to help him? Because, he lost his seat in Congress as a result of this. He failed to become mayor of New York City because of this. And now, when he's in the midst of probably, it wouldn't be unreasonable to suggest that he'd get some sort of a perk position in the Clinton administration. At least his wife would. And it seems like he is trying to sabotage everything that she does and everything that he does. And there's something seriously wrong here. And the guy, at the very least, they need to take his child away from him to keep him from messing this kid up. But he needs to get help. He needs an inpatient facility for a year.
Something. Yeah, Scott, and I'm glad you mentioned the sadness of this, but you might have missed what I think anyway is the saddest angle, but I'm going to get to that at the end of this. It should probably come as no surprise with the second and very public sexting incident. Huma Abedin, who, by the way, just happens to be Hillary Clinton's top aide, she's separating from her husband, and dear God, I hope taking that child of theirs with her. But this begs the question, Hillary Clinton has been humiliated just as publicly and many more times by her husband. So, Bill, why does Hillary continue to stand by her man?
There's only one answer for this, Steve, and that is that they're a nest of vipers. Honestly, I'm as serious as I can be. You really have to start asking yourself some serious questions about the moral tone of the people in the Democratic Party who are leading this. Now, I'm not going to say that Republicans don't have these kind of lunatics and perverts, but those are weeded out immediately because the press does its job, and guys like Bob Packwood are brought out into the daylight, and then we get rid of them, throw them out of office the way we should. But that doesn't happen with the Democrats. It's yet another example of how the lack of press scrutiny creates the problem, right? When you know you can't be caught, when you know that if you are caught, you're gonna get away with it, people are gonna throw a blanket over it, it's incentive. It corrupts you. It's like any other form of corruption. I think Andrew Klavan said it's like the cloak of invisibility in Lord of the Rings. When you can wear the cloak of invisibility or a mask, you'll do all kinds of things that you would never do if you were going to be held accountable for them. So there's a lot here that's kind of interesting in only to illuminate how awful these people are. As Scott pointed out, it cost him his seat in Congress, cost him potentially the mayoralty of New York City. His wife has been putting up with this for quite a long time now. Years. And you'd be tempted to feel sorry for it.
And that is the right angle on Anthony Weiner and Huma Abedin, made possible by the paying members of BillWhittle.com. Our thanks to them for their sponsorship, and our thanks to you for your time. We'll see you again.
I'm America. That's right. I'm American. Got a picture of Reagan above my fire. Next to the deer I shot with my rifle. NRA, hell yeah, I support 'em. I hate my job and I hate my boss, but I love my country and I pray to God that the Cowboys win. Just clap your hands if you love our country, if you love our land. That's right. And if you're not clapping your hands, you're a terrorist and you eat sand.
Irreverent, but honest and tastefully tacky somehow. Here comes another hour of insensitivity training with Glenn Woods.
And I live in America. Come on. And I live in America. I'm American.
Well, I wonder if it's coincidence. This next story that Dan has was some breaking news. The fact that I was making fun of Anthony Weiner and he found what he found. Trust me, hang on. You gotta hear this. It's the Bold Republic Radio Show. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. As always, everything I'm talking about and a whole lot more. Phone number is 844-700-BOLD or 2653 would be the number. So, okay. Now and then we have to break in, ladies and gentlemen, with what is called breaking news. Most news organizations do it not because they have breaking news, but because they're just trying to keep your attention. Well, if it works for them, then we should do it too. Ladies and gentlemen, he's in South Dakota, Sioux Falls to be exact. Live is Dan. What you got, Dan?
Thanks, Glenn. With all of the stories in the news about Weiner, I thought I would look and find one myself.
Yeah.
I found Oscar Mayer.
Oh, you did? Okay. Now, for those who just heard that and thought that was really disturbing, Glenn, what the hell? What happened was in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, the Dan pulled up to a gas station. And you know the Oscar Mayer Weiner van, that big van that disturbingly looks like a hot dog in a bun? It was there at the gas station filling up. My first question, how many miles per gallon? My second, I want to know that. I mean, what kind of gas mileage does that thing get? And what's the handling like? Especially when it gets really windy out here. I would think it looks kind of aerodynamic to me. And it would get some really good handling in windy weather. So, okay. But then I asked Dan to get a chance to talk to these guys. And so he got some pictures taken with the thing. So there's the Dan live on location with the Oscar Mayer Weiner van right behind him at the gas station. Now, to me, I envy him. I've seen that thing for years. I would love to see it in person one of these days. So it's on there's a lot of big things on my bucket list. Going for a ride in the Oscar Mayer Weiner van is another one. Well, that news, I posted that on Facebook. And right away, as people were commenting on it, some buffoon had to make some Anthony Weiner comment. Hey, we got to get Anthony Weiner. He's out of a job again. Maybe he can just go ahead and ride that thing. We can get Anthony Weiner driving the Oscar Mayer Weiner mobile. Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. The jerk that was doing that was me. I'm the guy who said that. Let's get Anthony Weiner to drive the Oscar Mayer Weiner vehicle. The problem would be if he's driving around somewhere where there's a tunnel and he's got the Oscar Mayer Weiner van. Well, you understand why that would be a problem. Okay, I don't want to go into detail because some of you people are driving around with kids in your car. I think you understand tunnel, Oscar Mayer Weiner van, Anthony Weiner. Do the math. You got it. Okay. So on that note, I come across this story. See, one thing's leading to another here. There's a picture of Uma Ahmadine, and somebody on Facebook wrote, and they're right about this. They're right. Now, she is from a Muslim family. She's a Muslim. So under Sharia law, which Uma endorses, she could be stoned to death for leaving Anthony Weiner. She should think it through. Now, somebody who wrote that did it under the name of Anthony Weiner, but I don't really think it's him. It's somebody who's pretending to be Anthony Weiner on the internet, on Twitter or Facebook, whatever. But that is actually a true statement. under Sharia law, which she endorses. I mean, her mom is the editor of, and she has worked with her mom on this magazine that promotes Sharia law and so on. If that's the case, then under Sharia law, because Uma left Anthony, that means she could be taken out back and stoned. Now, there have been some stories that I've read recently where there's been some commentators out there who have actually been trying to defend, liberal commentators, defend Sharia law as if it's progressive, is what they say. One of these commentators is a woman that goes by the name of Khan. Yes, as in, no, really, that's her name. And she actually is trying to convince people, because she wants to be politically correct. Oh, no, Sharia law, and they're progressive. You don't understand how forward thinking they are, really. Well, since the writer, Khan, is a lesbian and a feminist, I would like her to move to any country that has Sharia law and see how long she lives before she gets stoned. Now, isn't it interesting how we got from Dan finding the Oscar Mayer Wiener van to this? But let's see how we did it, because it does make sense. Dan finds the Oscar Mayer Wiener van. Oscar Mayer Wiener van could use a driver. Anthony Weiner is out of a job once again, and he could use a job. He should drive the Oscar Mayer Wiener van. So the van, of course, would be in serious trouble should it ever come across a tunnel and Anthony Weiner were driving it. You can just imagine the mayhem he would cause, which makes us think about Uma Abedin, who some of us are actually feeling sorry for, even though she's best buds under Hillary Clinton. See how we get all the way down to, okay. And then Sharia law and all that. Oh, by the way, there is a job offer for Anthony Weiner. I've talked before about the Bunny Ranch. I've never been there. Don't look at your radio that way. I've only read about the place. The famous Bunny Ranch is a brothel in Nevada, of course. Where else would it be? Offering disgraced former Congressman Anthony Weiner a position as a social media director at their Nevada location. Either he gets a job driving the Weiner van, or he goes to Nevada and works at the Bunny Ranch. Here's a quote. Dennis Hoff, owner of the Bunny Ranch, legal brothel star of the HBO Cat House series, is offering former New York Congressman Anthony Weiner a full-time position as director of social media at his famed Nevada bordello. Weiner is, of course, it talks about the Washington Post story and so on. Quote, this guy is a great orator. I am not touching that comment with a 10-foot pole. And his political career showed that. Clearly, his communication skills can also be extended, not touching that one either, into the world of digital media. And that his huge component of our business, I'm not touching that, is everything that we like about him, that killed his political career, would certainly help us. I mean, it's just part of the job description here. Did you notice that the guy, Dennis Hoff, who owns the Bunny Ranch, is it just me, or he speaks in double entendres, whether he really is trying to or not? Is it just me noticing that? Okay. Because I noticed a lot in there, but I just, again, there's people driving around with kids in the car. I just didn't want to go there. All right. So one more thing, since I did mention Sharia law and that Uma Abedin, if she leaves and she has left Anthony Weiner with the kid, and under Sharia law, which she subscribes to, she would be stoned for leaving Anthony Weiner. On that note, let's go to Syria. You see how one topic actually leads to the next here, right? All right. USA Today. Life's a beach in Syria. The regime has sent out a tourism video. I bet the rates at at the newly remodeled Rubble Hotel. I bet the rates are really low. What do you think? All right, so here's the story. A new promotional video released by Syria's Ministry of Tourism. The one building that hasn't been bombed out of existence is the Ministry of Tourism, because the place is pretty well hidden from view, I guess. Huh? This week show the war-ravaged country where hundreds of thousands of people have been killed over the past 5.5 years, completely in a new light. A coastal paradise for sun worshippers and jet skiers. There's palm trees, lush green hillsides in the background. The 1 minute, 43-second video published by the ministry's YouTube page. Yes, Syria has a YouTube page. The video, which appears to show aerial shots of a town called Tartus, which was attacked in May by the Islamic State, a suicide bomber killing dozens of people. And they have a slogan at the end of the video, always beautiful. I just ignore the blood on the ground, but okay. Syria is one of the most dangerous places on the planet, duh. However, prior to the conflict, it was a relatively safe country to visit for a while in the Middle East if you wanted to go vacation there. And so they're trying to encourage you to come back and visit once again. So I know they have not purchased advertising on this program, but I would like to encourage you, if you are looking for a vacation spot, especially when we get into the winter months here in the western part of the country, it's coming, and you want someplace warm and tropical, may I suggest you could save a lot of money by staying at the newly remodeled Rubble Hotel in Syria. You'll find a 1.5-minute video on what a beautiful paradise it is. You're probably thinking that I'm just pulling your leg. Sometimes I do pull your leg, and the stories that I read are just complete bull. Not this one. It's in USA Today. Look it up.
This is a generic liner. Kind of boring, isn't it?
Blood pressure tends to run higher during the day and lower during nighttime sleep. However, many with high blood pressure don't exhibit this nighttime dip, a condition called non-dipping. More in today's AARP health tip after this.
At Walgreens, getting diabetes testing supplies with Medicare Part B is a walk in the park. Really, because getting what you need is quick and easy, giving you more time for other things. There's $0 out of pocket on all major brands like Accu-Check and Walgreens TrueMetrics, and no extra paperwork. So managing diabetes becomes a stroll down Easy Street, or a trip to the movies, or even a day at the beach. Talk to your pharmacist today. Walgreens, at the corner of happy and healthy.
Zero out-of-pocket cost when billed to Medicare and full coverage supplemental insurance.
Non-dipping is a major risk factor for stroke, heart attack, and kidney disease. But studies show taking one or more of your prescribed blood pressure medications just before bedtime significantly decreases the risk. Of course, never change the timing of your medications without first consulting your doctor. For more, go to aarp.org.
When you get to the ballot box, what do you remember about the politicians you're voting for? The problem with American politics isn't this guy. It's this guy. So how do you know which one you're going to get? At Conservative Review, we set out to cut through the noise in politics and to give you everything you're interested in and nothing that you're not. We created CR Insider to help you do 3 things: verify, track, and explore. With our Liberty score, you can verify at a glance who's actually conservative and who's just pretending, just for election season. Our customizable dashboard lets you track the politicians you care about, see how they vote, and if their positions change over time. And most importantly, we want you to explore our exclusive content, commentary from the best and brightest conservative authors you won't find anywhere else on the issues you care about most. For the first time ever, there's a trusted source that provides the unvarnished record of politicians, along with political and policy information for the issues you care about most. So whether you're walking into the voting booth, engaged in a lively conversation with friends or family, or simply want to learn more, CR Insider is just for you.
Welcome to Socialist America.
For your convenience and safety, the free American citizen has been asked to turn in their guns. Your voluntary cooperation, compliance, is appreciated. Non-compliance is punished by imprisonment and hard labor. Defense of your home by the criminal element of our society can be achieved by dialing 911. Fear not. The police will be there in minutes, when seconds count. The safety of your household is our utmost concern. Good luck with that. Rumors of threats of tyranny are greatly exaggerated. Resistance is futile. As usual, employees of the state are exempt from mandatory citizen regulations. And as always, thank you for your cooperation.
Everything Glenn talks about is on his website, and that website is updated daily to keep you informed and scared. BoldRepublic.com. Back to Glenn Woods.
It's the Bold Republic Radio Show. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. During the course of the long holiday weekend, all the way up until Labor Day itself, you know, the website's constantly updated whenever news hits. There's always fun stuff to find on the YouTube page, so go dig around there if you find yourself looking for something to do. And I would hope on this nice weekend, there's something that you're doing. Well, don't sit around and watch TV. It's supposed to be nice outside. I was sent this story. Comes from Montana, Billings, Montana, from the Billings Gazette. Montana pot dispensaries close as restrictions take effect. From Helena, Montana, medical marijuana dispensaries across Montana have closed their doors as new restrictions took effect as of Wednesday to limit pot providers to 3 patients apiece, leaving thousands of pot users registered with the state without a legal way to buy the drug. I guess a lot of people will be driving through Wyoming to get down to Denver now. The restrictions being after 5 years of unsuccessful court battles overturned in 2011, state law rolled back much of the voter-approved law that brought medical marijuana to Montana in 2004. It's one of the most significant rollbacks, the story says, by the 25 states and Washington, D.C. that allow marijuana to be used for medical purposes. So medical marijuana advocates estimate that about 12,000 patients are losing legal access of their providers. There were about 13,190 registered patients at the end of July, says Montana. Now, usually this is the case. So we'll have to see. I mean, I need more detail in the story, but usually this is the case. Let's say California. And we can do Colorado too. So let's say, just to pick a number, there's 10,000 people that could make a legitimate claim that they need medical marijuana. 10,000 people, right? Yet for some reason, really odd reason, about 15 to 18,000 people actually show up saying that they need this stuff. Interesting. And so doctors are giving out prescriptions for all sorts of people that, well, do they really need it? And then there are those doctors who start writing prescriptions because the doctors make money writing prescriptions. Now, I'm not saying every doctor does this. There are those doctors who just turn it away because, they have a soul, they have a conscience, they're ethical people. But there were other doctors out there that were just writing. You can walk in and say you want anything, you need marijuana for whatever, and you just make up some condition, and the doctor will take your money because he wrote you a prescription. The doctor's making money off of writing prescriptions, and people who don't need medical marijuana are getting medical marijuana. So I'm wondering if Montana is just having a problem with this and deciding, okay, that's it. 3 patients per doctor. That's all you get. as a way of solving the problem. But of course, in doing that, right away, the dispensaries find themselves a little low on business, and so they start closing their doors, which means people are going to go somewhere else to get their medical marijuana stuff. All right, so I'm not coming down on a side in this argument, in this particular argument, for or against medical marijuana. I'm just saying these are the problems. There's 10,000 people in your area that could actually legitimately make a case for medical marijuana. How is it that maybe 18 to 20,000 people actually have a prescription for it? Why is business at the dispensaries booming? How is it that there's more dispensaries than there are people who legitimately, to serve the people who legitimately have a need for it? This has been the case in California. This was the case in Colorado when Colorado was only doing medical marijuana. People are finding an excuse. Okay, so the stores are being closed because of this. That's why I said a lot of people, there's going to be some road trips now. Road trips are going to go right through Wyoming, down to Colorado. People are going to get what they can there and come back up again. Until Montana finds a way to solve the problem, which I don't know. Now, more states, some of my friends disagree with me on this, and that's okay. The whole medical marijuana thing, from my understanding of it, is anything that you can get that medical marijuana might be good for. You can get other medications that do the exact same thing, and they're not taken from marijuana. So you don't necessarily need medical marijuana. Now, as far as just legalization of marijuana itself, my entire argument has been prohibition has failed. I'm not talking about medical marijuana anymore. I'm just talking about legalizing the stuff. Prohibition has failed. If something fails, stop doing it and try something else. Well, now we have several test cases. Washington State, Colorado, and Washington, D.C. So we now have 3 areas where we can just sit back and watch. They've legalized the stuff. Let's see what actually happens, and you're not going to be able to decide this in the couple of years that the stuff has been legalized. We're going to have to wait a few years. That's what I would suggest Montana do, not legalize it. No, just sit back and wait. You got Washington State on one side, and you got Denver, you got Colorado down below you. And so just sit there and watch and wait and see what happens. And if it turns out well for them, then just legalize the stuff. If it turns out to be too much of a hassle, too much of a burden, too much of a problem, then don't legalize the stuff. Obviously, would be the best way to handle it, because people seem to be, it looks like to me, people are abusing the medical marijuana practice as it was set up.
You're listening to Glenn Woods on the Bold Republic program.
Over the next 4 years, liberal policies of more spending, higher taxes, and a growing dependence on government will threaten America's future. Now more than ever, conservatives must take a stand.
This is the greatest country on earth. We are a leader for the world, and we need to continue to be.
The Heritage Foundation will take a stand, and we will lead the charge in offering principled solutions to America's biggest challenges, from spending and tax reform to reducing the size of government and maintaining a strong national defense.
Call 1-855-502-2927
to join the Heritage Foundation today and receive a Heritage membership pack that includes a free pocket constitution, a subscription to our daily e-newsletter, The Morning Bell, and a window sticker that tells the nation you stand with Heritage.
Call 1-855-502-2927
right now.
I consider the Heritage Foundation to be my voice in Washington.
Take a stand for conservative principles.
Call 1-855-502-2927 right now.
Bold Republic.
What are your thoughts on GW hiring a convicted jihad terrorist?
I think it's pretty cool. I think that the point of education is to really broaden the horizons.
I mean, he's a reformed terrorist, so I wouldn't call him a jihad terrorist anymore. Definitely proper usage.
He says he's reformed, so I guess I'm into giving people a second chance.
Like it said in the New York Times article that I just read, he seems to have seen the error of his ways.
I think it's a certain level of knowledge that can be useful that not everyone has. It might be a good opportunity for him to, be able to understand both sides of it.
It could be a very, very good thing for us to be the place that is accepting of these viewpoints and accepting of these people that have these unique experiences.
For me, it doesn't make me feel unsafe. It doesn't make me feel unsafe.
To me, I don't think it would be that dangerous, especially since he can't leave the District of Columbia anyway.
Like universities in Europe have done the same thing that GW is doing now, so I'm fine with it.
Like, since they have people like this working for the UK, I think that it shouldn't be that much of an issue.
I'm actually surprised that the university would be so committed to hiring somebody whose viewpoint is so interesting.
It's not a huge concern to me at the moment.
If DC is going to be attacked, like it's going to be attacked, and I don't think it makes a difference whether GW hired him.
If you told me that my professor was actually an axe murderer, I would be nervous. But if you could promise me that I would be safe around this axe murderer, wouldn't you want to know what that's like to be an axe murderer?
This week, Donald Trump offered a new stance on immigration, softening his position on illegal immigrants in the country. We're here in Washington, D.C., talking to young voters about whether this will make them more likely to support him in November. Everyone has been talking about Donald Trump's speech, where he really softened his stance on immigration, saying that it's not practical to deport 11 million people, and that people who have been here contributing to society should be allowed to stay and given a pathway to citizenship. Do you think that's a good idea for his campaign or a bad idea?
Personally, I think it is a good idea.
I mean, it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing. He's totally, I think people can change, and he realizes he's getting more serious about the campaign.
Do you think this move as a whole will help his campaign?
Oh, you mean for Donald Trump? Yeah, for him, definitely will help.
I think that you need that kind of system to some degree. Yeah. So as far as the policy itself goes, do you think it is a step in the right direction? I do think so, yeah. Do you think it's a good idea?
No, definitely a way better step in the right direction.
I'd say it sounds better, but I don't know if it changes my opinion of him or not.
Okay. Do you think this will help him gain votes?
Yeah, if people believe it.
Okay.
I don't know. I didn't watch the speech, but if it sounded believable enough, possibly, because it is a different change, and I think it's a good change that he made.
As a whole, do you think this will help Trump gain supporters who are undecided?
Probably, yeah. I mean, if it's more of like a neutral stance.
Do you think it'll help him get people who have made up their mind yet?
Yeah, I definitely think it will. And in terms of people that hadn't made up their minds yet and had needed a little bit of motivation, I think it definitely will.
I mean, if you're on the fence, I think that might be a push.
Okay.
Or maybe an undecided voter would swing a little bit.
He might be saying all this stuff now, but when he takes office, if that's actually the policy he would implement, I don't know.
Do you agree with that plan in general?
Definitely, I agree with that. Because that's the common sense, the right thing to do. I mean, it's not his true feelings. I mean, he still feels the same way. It's just that he just changed his mind because he knows that to get more votes, he has to change what he said.
As a whole, do you think this is a positive or a negative development for Trump's campaign?
I think it's positive.
Which American states are most tolerant of both ganja and guns? Which states best protect your home and other property? Which states put more and fewer people in jail? Which states regulate the most and fewest occupations? And overall, which states interfere with your life the least? Find out where your state ranks in the Cato Institute's new report, Freedom in the 50 States.
It's a Bold Republic radio show. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. If you don't have it, make sure you get the Bold Republic app. That way you can listen to the show anytime you want. Live, later, whatever. Download it to whatever device you have so you can save your minutes. It's absolutely free. It's the show on the go. Just look for Bold Republic at your app store. There you go. That's it. So John Kerry says that you are obsessed. Before I go any further with this, do you care what John Kerry has to say? Good. I hope not. I would really worry if you told me that you cared what John Kerry has to say. So, okay, none of us care. So let's take a look at it and make fun of him. Well, it would make me feel better. So he says, quote, obsessed, truly stupid and embarrassing. Those of you who are obsessed with Hillary Clinton's emails. I'm sorry. For those who are late to this, it seems every time I say Hillary Clinton, for some reason, it brings back a scene from Young Frankenstein. Yeah, you remember that whole Frau Blucher, whatever.
I am Frau Blucher.
Yeah. Kind of works that way. Hillary Clinton. Yeah, all right. Anyway, so the fact that you are obsessed with her emails is just, you're obsessed, it's stupid, and it's embarrassing. Even though the more we dig into those emails, the more interesting things we find out. For example, if you go to my reading assignment page today, go to boldrepublic.com, go to the reading assignment page, lead article there. Ask the question, how did we find these nearly 15,000 emails out of the 30,000 missing emails? How did we find these things? Because they use this program that they call, was like the Bleach program or the heck that was. All right, so that program, it seems though, somebody didn't use it on these almost 15,000 emails, and that's the only way they were able to reconstruct anything. And they found what was supposed to be yoga lessons. Number one, no yoga lessons. Two, classified email, stuff about Benghazi is in there. But it's just stupid and embarrassing that you're obsessed by it. Even though every time we dig a little bit further in, we find more. All right, so the story says those are a few of the comments, truly stupid and embarrassing. Secretary of State John Kerry's chief of staff also made the finer, email exchanges in the past few days over the whole scandal. The emails, which the State Department gave the Daily Caller in response to a Freedom of Information Act request lawsuit, show the candid remarks of the high-ranking State Department official regarding the email fiasco as it was unfolding. In one email, Secretary Kerry's lead secretary, a guy named Feiner, responded to an email in which he included a copy of the Associated Press article that exposed the private email server, which, by the way, in case you haven't heard, you paid for. The private email server was paid for by taxpayer dollars through the Clinton Foundation. Go figure that one out. People are obsessed with this, he wrote, to a senior advisor and deputy assistant of public affairs with the State Department. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry greets former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton on stage at a symposium in Afghanistan, Georgetown University, November 15th. And apparently they had talked about this. Several days before the email, New York Times broke the story that, John was afraid of that. Hillary, sorry. Trying not to say her name that much because of that. Exclusively used personal email as Secretary of State. The remarks at the time, well, people are just upset with this. I don't understand. And then, of course, everything unfolds. And we have every right to be obsessed with it. Now, remember I told you guys, this is how this seems to be played out with the Clintons. Here's how it works. At first, they just ignore whatever the scandal is. Ignore it. It'll blow over. If it doesn't blow over, just treat the people like, what are you talking about? What? Psst, come on. Oh, geez, that's so stupid. What are you talking about? Doesn't matter what the scandal is. What? No, it's not, Well, if evidence starts to arise and they're getting backed into a corner, the next thing to do is deny. I did not have sex with that woman. I turned in everything I was supposed to. I did not keep any. Okay. So deny and get angry and demand. If that doesn't work, then you walk away going, psh, you still talking about that? Wow. Really? Can't believe you're talking about that. Still? Boy, that's just stupid. You know, you're obsessed. And then they walk away. At that point, they seem to have gotten away with it. I don't understand how that works. I want you to imagine you're back in your days as a kid at home with your parents. And you do that with your parents. What? Break the vase? Throwing a baseball in the house? You still talking about that? Oh, come on. There's a problem here. What is it with you? You're obsessed with that. That's really stupid, you know. That's just stupid that you're obsessed with that. What would have happened to you? Hey, okay, let's take another one. Here, we'll have some fun with this. The IRS comes knocking on your door, and they're looking for personal information and files, and you got to turn over all sorts of crap. And you look at the IRS agent and go, what? You still talking about that? Wow. I mean, you people at the IRS are just obsessed. I don't know what's wrong with you. This is just stupid. Really? And turn and walk away and see what happens to you. But somehow this works for the Clintons, and I just don't understand how. And it's also played, the same playbook as you just heard in the story I read to you, is played out by, well, all of the Democrats anyway, politicians in general. But John Kerry, Anthony Weiner tried it. Debbie Wasserman Schultz uses the same thing. Barack Obama uses the same thing. There's always that ignore it, deny it, fight it, act like it's old news, and you are stupid and obsessed because you just won't let it go. Fact of the matter is, the more we dig into the email thing, the more we find out that she shouldn't have been doing. And the more it shows that she's not only completely unfit to be president of the United States, but completely, or should be fitted for one of those orange jumpsuits that she likes to wear. Fact of the matter is, there's plenty there. Now, for some reason, the irrelevant press doesn't like to cover this at all. And they especially walk away when the Clintons reach that stage of, what? Oh, you're just, it's just stupid. Why are you obsessed with this? You know the press is going to walk away and not cover it ever again when they reach that stage. And that's the stage that we're at now. So, okay, we'll see what WikiLeaks has. Because WikiLeaks said that there's going to be a big bombshell sometime this month, I believe. We'll find out. I'm looking forward to it.
Hey, Ethel, get back in here. Time to listen to Glenn Wood and use all them big words like anti-disestablishmentarianism.
Hello, Americans. Rod here with My Made in America store here in Gillette, Wyoming. Did you know if every American spent an extra $3.33 on U.S.-made goods, it would create almost 10,000 jobs here in our country? We would like to thank all those who support American jobs. You are the solution for the economic problems we have today. Don't forget to ask about our military and first responders. Never forget your veterans. God bless America. Buy American. It matters. Check us out online. MyMadeInAmericaStore.com.
Which American states are most tolerant of both ganja and guns? Which states best protect your home and other property? Which states put more and fewer people in jail? Which states regulate the most and fewest occupations? And overall, which states interfere with your life the least? Find out where your state ranks in the Cato Institute's new report, Freedom in the 50 States.
You critics don't define our honor. You try to shame us for doing our job. You teach children to fear us, crowds to attack us, and good people to doubt us. But we will never back down from our sworn duty to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America. We wake up every day, put on our badge, strap a gun to our hips, kiss our families goodbye, put our lives between the law-abiding and any criminal who threatens their rights. We serve people of every color and creed, men, women, and children in violent, dangerous neighborhoods, because they have the same right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness as CEOs, movie stars, and the political elite. We are Americans, and we are the American police officer. We stand with the National Rifle Association of America, and the NRA stands with us. Together, we're freedom's safest place.
By now, we are familiar with that handy little message we get from the phone company that tells us it's time to pay our bill. But now, just for conservatives, and brought to you by the Tea Party, a handy little message that lets you know when you are paying someone else's phone bill. Yes, because most of us never bother to check the taxes on our bills, so we don't see that we are paying double the bill through state and federal taxes for the Obama phone program. Our new ringtone and message will help keep you riled up straight through the election season. And for those who like to really get pissed off, try the new app that lets you see the person you're paying for and even lets you hear what sort of calls they're making. I mean, why not? You're paying for it. And now through November 2014, you can have a Tea Party Obama phone app secretly attached to your liberal friends' cell phones. No extra charge.
So what's the matter, Senator? Flushing all that taxpayer money down the toilet, clogging up the drain again?
And how? And nothing works when the money don't flow.
And I bet flushing all that Chinese money really clogs the pipes.
Oh, with interest. Yeah, Chinese money's the worst.
Well, Senator, to keep that money flowing, why not try this new pipe cleaner? It's called Debt Bomb.
Debt Bomb?
Yes, Debt Bomb, Senator. With all the pressure building up in the pipes from all that money you're flushing down the toilet, well, there's just simply no flow. You need something to clear the clog. But don't worry, the pressure will eventually build up that you can just shove Debt Bomb into the toilet and everything blows sky high.
Yee! Oh, look at it go.
Why, there's nothing left. No, Senator, there's nothing. No economy, no country, nothing.
Well, you say that like it's a bad thing.
Endorsed by governments worldwide. It's inevitable. Debt Bomb.
Sorting through the nonsensical nonsense that makes your life a living hell. It's Glenn Woods. OldRepublic.com.
It's the Bold Republic Radio Show. Thanks for joining me. I'm already, I am like well into the holiday weekend already by just the fact that I can see it from here. So excuse me if I feel like goofing off a little bit here on the air. Well, no, don't excuse me. This is what I like doing this. Some of you have real jobs. I enjoy what I do. You want to work hard? You go ahead and work hard. What I do is I just sit around and talk about these goofballs out here. And it actually has become easy over the years because they've become goofier, okay? I feel like I should apologize sometimes because my job has become so easy. I used to have to look for news stories and something to criticize. These guys, piece of cake. Question for you. This was sent to me as a question. And I looked at it and thought, okay, it's a hypothetical. And I think as hypotheticals go, it is worth looking at. What if in this country, we only allowed taxpayers to vote? Now, the first thought was, right away, there's those people who, well, everybody has the right to vote, okay, I get that. It's a hypothetical. Only people who produced and contributed to our society as producers had the right to vote. If you're a non-producer, you don't get a right to vote. How would that change the political map? Now, someone did do a map of the United States, and they showed where the red would be and where the blue was, Democrat, Republican. So let's see. There's Washington State and Oregon that are blue. And there's Illinois, that's blue. Let's see, the New England states and New York, they're blue. That's it. The rest of the country, Hawaii's blue. The rest of the country is dark, dark, dark red. So that's the first thing. It would change the entire map completely if only people who worked and produced and paid taxes were allowed to vote. And then I thought, yeah, but then there's something else. See, I don't think the Democrats would be happy with that. And so they would find ways to get money to non-taxpayers so they could pay taxes. So in other words, you would have to pay taxes on your welfare check. There, that gives you the right to vote. See what I'm saying? They'll find some kind of a loophole to get in there so they can and they'll call it racism too. If you don't allow these people to vote, it's racist. Well, all we're asking is that you're a productive member of society. And therefore you pay taxes. If you're not a taxpayer, then you don't get to have a say in things. How about that? Just a thought. That would make you want to become a productive member of society, wouldn't it? So you get to have a say in things. Because right now, people who do not produce, but instead are the moochers of society, you want to get some people mad, call them moochers. Oh, nobody wants to hear that. Well, do you work? Do you produce anything? So you're just collecting welfare checks and you're a moocher. Oh, they get mad at that. But okay, right now they get to vote themselves all sorts of free stuff. They'll turn, the first ones to turn and say, yeah, tax the rich, yeah, because they need to pay their fair share. And they're the first ones to do that. Well, what if, because they're not producing anything, they don't get a say? How would that change election results? I just thought it was a really neat hypothetical question that was tossed out there. Now, on that note, that's one of the reasons that this program has the Stay Out the Vote campaign, but for a different reason. Not for producers and moochers, but for people who actually pay attention as opposed to those people who don't.
Darling, would you fetch me a beer out of the fridge?
So, I know everything about the Kardashians, Beyonce, and stuff like that. But I know nothing about who my governor is or whoever runs the state. So this year I'm doing my patriotic duty and stay out the vote.
Thank you, darling. I can give you every major stat for the Rockies for the last 15 years, but I can't tell you who the mayor of Denver is. That's the reason why this year I'm doing my patriotic duty and stay out the vote.
Too lazy to stay informed? Then stay home. Stay out the vote. Your country is counting on you. So that brings up the question, and what if we were to have just a hypothetical, just something for you to think about. What if we were to have a little bit of a test before you could vote? Now, you have to worry about people who would make the test too difficult because they're trying to alienate certain groups. I understand that. But just simple things on the test. Who's your mayor? Who's your governor? Who's your senator? And maybe ask just a few questions about the Constitution. I mean, nothing really hard, stuff that basically anybody should be able to understand and anybody should know. Now, here's a good one for you. The group Campus Reform went to college. I played this yesterday, but I played it during, for those of you that are listening on radio stations, when we go into a commercial break, let's say at the bottom of the hour, those people watching the show or listening to the show online or off the app, they get special features played for them while you're listening to commercials. I played this during a special feature segment. I'm now going to bring it up for everybody else to listen to. I wonder if these people should be disqualified for voting. Campus Reform went to college Camp I and asked people just to join them in a little bit of a sing-along. Finish the words, or at least give us some of the words to the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see?
By the dawn's early lie. By the dawn's early lie, right? Light.
Oh, say, can you see?
I don't know it. I don't think
By the
I don't know it.
whose broad stripes and bright stars, what so proudly we held.
As the flag
was still gleaming. I don't know.
What so proudly we held,
By the ballot
whose broad stripes and bright stars,
through the perilous fight.
o'er the ramparts we watched,
as
whose broad stripes and bright stars.
Okay, yeah, no, I don't know this part. I really don't know this part.
When the home of the brave.
I know like the tune, but like I don't know the words.
Okay, maybe we'll have a national anthem course to enroll in next semester at Maryland, right?
For sure.
Okay, so thanks to campus reform for doing that. But these people had very strong opinions on some subjects they knew nothing about. All I'm asking is just a thought. I'm just tossing out a thought. Perhaps if only the people who were contributors to our society in some way were given a right to vote. Or what if we made sure that people who were showing up to vote actually knew what they were voting for, knew something about the country, the Constitution, why America was made the way it was. Hey, here's a thought. I tried this one time when I was working at a radio station in Florida. What system of government does this country have? The first person to call a democracy, like I'm the idiot. And I said, no, ma'am, you don't win. Sorry. And I hung up. The next person got it right. Yes, America is a republic. Yes, sir, you got it right. He won the prize. Oh, there was a prize, too. So if I could, that prize is you, sir, get to vote. America is a republic. Here's your voting card. Step into the booth. You probably know what you're talking about. So we'll take a chance on you and allow you to step into the voting booth and vote. Now, to the person who thought that we were a democracy or just said other basic stupid things, I would rather you just stay out of the voting booth. Although I'll give you a chance. If you can get educated, next time we'll let you in. Sending your kids out to play.
Now hold still. Mommy, I can't breathe.
Well, playtime's not what it used to be.
Am I supposed to go out and play if I can't even move?
Well, with all the dangers that are out there in the world, like Nerf, soccer balls, hugs, and who knows, your kid might come across a 5-year-old selling lemonade on their front lawn after school.
Now this is for your own safety. Put your helmet on. It's hot all this stuff.
Don't take any chances in today's dangerous world. Make sure to bubble wrap your kids before they step out the front door.
This isn't fun anymore. I don't want to go out and play if it isn't fun anymore.
Don't forget knee pads, shoulder pads, elbow pads, and helmets. Earplugs in case you hear any offensive words. 911 on speed dial on their cell phone. The number of a counselor, just in case they see, hear, feel, smell anything that might be considered remotely offensive. Better idea. Just keep them inside. It's far too dangerous out there in the real world. Have you heard about the federal government's new Affordable Car Act? Well, since the Affordable Care Act is doing so well, I'll ignore that. We've decided to implement the Affordable Car Act. The Affordable Car Act mandates that you buy insurance for everything on your car. Oh, not just catastrophic insurance in case you get into a wreck like this. But no, you need to cover everything, whether you need it or not. Balding tire insurance, running low on gas insurance. That way you have to go through your insurance company every time you go to fill up your car. Running low on windshield wiper fluid insurance, windshield wiper replacement insurance, car wash insurance.
Wait a minute, isn't it cheaper if I just pay for all of this directly?
Are you kidding me? By making you pay for all of these things through your insurance company and through government bureaucracy, you'll save a ton of money, just like with the Affordable Care Act.
That doesn't make any sense.
The Affordable Car Act, now 5,000 pages of government-mandated automobile insurance regulation, and growing. BoldRepublic.com.
The New York Times editorial board is calling on Hillary Clinton to cut ties with the Clinton Foundation. This comes as newly released emails show her aides being asked for big favors by major donors when she was Secretary of State. One America's Sonny Unatoa has more on why the Times is urging the Democratic nominee to cease all connections to the foundation immediately.
Bill Clinton created the Clinton Foundation in 2001, and as described in the New York Times, he created it as a vehicle to fund his presidential library. Since then, the group has raised more than $2 billion from major corporations, political donors, and foreign governments. In early August, the former president announced the charity would no longer accept corporate and foreign donations if Hillary Clinton becomes president.
We're going to transition all these responsibilities that would require foreign or corporate donations, which I won't accept, and I won't raise money for the foundation if she wins.
However, the New York Times editorial board is urging the charity to cut those donations now. It also wants Hillary Clinton to cease all connections with the foundation and both Bill and Chelsea Clinton to step down from the foundation's board. Hillary's ties to the Clinton Foundation have come under intense scrutiny after her newly released private emails show major donors asking for big favors during her time as Secretary of State, something Clinton promised at her 2009 confirmation hearing would not get in the way of her service.
I will certainly do everything in my power to make sure that the good work of the foundation continues without there being any untoward effects on me and my service.
In a 2010 email exchange involving Clinton's top aide, Huma Abedin, former Clinton Foundation official Doug Band requested invitations for a state lunch with China. On his list were executives from 3 organizations that have donated millions to the Clinton Foundation. Band even asked if one of the executives could sit at Vice President Joe Biden's table. In another email exchange, Abedin speeds up a request from Band asking if $1 million Clinton Foundation donor Gilbert Shigori could speak to the State Department's top official on Lebanon, a meeting that would normally take weeks to set up. Donald Trump has accused Clinton of pay-for-play practices and has called on her to shut down the foundation and return the donations to those he claims influenced her.
It's hard to tell where the Clinton Foundation ends and where the State Department begins. That's what's happened.
In a statement issued Tuesday, the Trump campaign said, "The fact that even the liberal New York Times thinks the Clinton Foundation presents an unacceptable conflict of interest is a devastating rebuke of Hillary Clinton's poor judgment and broken ethical compass." The New York Times is calling on Clinton to formally distance herself from the foundation, stating achieving true distance from the foundation is not only necessary to ensure its effectiveness, it is an ethical imperative for Clinton. Sani Unatoa, One America News.
Federal officials make a major announcement which may change the face of high-speed rail systems in the country. A multi-billion-dollar investment to fund Amtrak in the Northeast was just approved. But as One America's Rachel Lasenis explains, not everyone is on board with the plan.
For more than 30 years, Vice President Joe Biden has been riding the Amtrak from his home in Delaware to work in D.C. Now, one of Amtrak's most loyal passengers is being applauded for throwing his support behind a $2.5 billion federal loan, which Amtrak will use to buy new trains, upgrade tracks, and improve platforms on the 400-mile Northeast corridor running through D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, and Boston.
You can't make this country work without rail. That's why this $2.45 billion is so important.
The Transportation Department says it's the largest loan in its history. Biden claims it will do more than just change the face of high-speed rail. It will create jobs, and lots of them.
750 new, good-paying, middle-class jobs you can raise a family on.
Amtrak will buy 28 new Acela train sets, the first of which will hit the tracks in about 5 years. Acelas can move up to 160 miles per hour, faster than Amtrak's current trains. Passengers embrace the change.
For those of us who travel on Acela all the time, obviously, if you're able to get from point A to point B more quickly, that seems like an improvement.
The news of the big investment comes at a time when Amtrak is under scrutiny for safety. Last year, 8 people died in a derailment in Philadelphia. Transportation officials say the loan will help improve passenger safety. But on the heels of the announcement, the loan is already being stopped in its tracks. Some people are asking questions about how Amtrak will pay the money back. Will it use taxpayer dollars or its own future profits to repay the loan? Opponents argue Amtrak is already in the red.
I'm American. That's right. I'm American. Got a picture hanging above my fire next to the deer I shot with my rifle. And alright, hell yeah, I support 'em. I hate my job and I hate my boss, but I love my country and I pray to God that the Cowboys win. Just cut your hands if you love our country, if you love our land. That's right. And if you're not clapping your hands, you're a terrorist and you eat sand. Sandwich.
Irreverent, but honest and tastefully tacky somehow. Here comes another hour of insensitivity training with Glenn Woods.
And I live in America. Come on. And I live in America. I'm American.
It's a Bold Republic radio show. My name is Glenn Woods. Final hour of the program. Real quick, Rob sent me a note on Facebook during the course of the break. Said, Glenn, the problem with moochers are they're too lazy to vote anyway, so don't worry about it. And so, well, there's the thing, Rob. Moochers are loaded onto buses and pushed into vans and driven down to the polls. That's every couple of years they have to show up at the polls and work for all of 5 minutes. And that's how they continue to get their free checks. So they work every 2 years for about 5 minutes. And then they get free stuff from the Democrat Party from then on. So, all right, all the way down to Cheyenne, Wyoming we go, where Charles Katibi is standing by. And I swear, after I read what you sent to me, Charles, I thought you were selling Amway. What's the name of this group again? Shop what?
It's a company called Vitals, and the program that I was telling you about is called Smart Shopper.
Smart Shopper sounds like an internet scam that if I click on one of the links, I get like a virus or malware or something like that. So what is it?
So it's a company that's in New Hampshire, and it now works with public employee plans in New Hampshire, Kentucky, Louisiana, and all told, it works with about 600 to 700,000 patients nationwide. And the system that they operate, that they work with, is they allow patients to compare the prices of various healthcare services, MRIs, CT scans, about 40 services that are available to them. And they can compare the prices that different hospitals and different doctors are offering. Now, usually, if you're a patient, you have no reason to favor lower cost healthcare, because once you pay that deductible, it really doesn't matter to you. It doesn't matter if your MRI costs $500 or $5,000. However, if you find a discount, they will send you a cut of the savings.
Oh. So, okay, now see, this matters because most people, when they go in to get tests and get things done, never get to see any prices. And in many cases, doctors don't even look at the prices either because it's out of their hands. It's the insurance company and the government that's handling all that. So they just order whatever, which is part of what can run up the prices. But if the doctors and the patients are actually looking at the prices, well, people tend to make smart consumer choices.
Absolutely. Yeah, the problem with our healthcare system is that nobody is minding the store, in a sense. The doctors don't care because they're paid on a fee-for-service basis. It's more for them. And the patient, especially for public employees, which have very, very discounted deductibles. In Wyoming, I think the most public employees only pay $350 for their deductible. It's incredibly low. So they have no real reason at this moment to demand lower prices, which is why, that's a big reason why the cost of the public employee health plan has just skyrocketed in recent years, and it's going to be a big problem if we knew nothing about it. But if you if you tell them, I'm going to give you can get a seventh of the cut or 10% of all the savings, they will look for that savings. So in New Hampshire, they saved about $24 million on their public employee plans, and they sent $2 million of that savings to the to the employees as compensation for finding that lower cost healthcare.
I'm talking with Charles Katibi from Wyoming Liberty Group. So now, okay, play devil's advocate with you here.
Sure.
So, of course, people are going to go for the cheapest stuff to get the most benefit out of it. And then they're going to end up getting a bunch of junk, and they're going to end up dying because they got junk. Charles, you just want people to die. Is that good?
That is always the retort that they can't. That if people are going to favor lower cost healthcare, then the quality must be less. But this is actually something people are starting to work with. In Maine, the state employee health plan in Maine has worked with a company called. Yeah, I do sound like an infomercial a little bit.
You do, yeah.
They're working with a company called Leapfrog, which basically grades hospitals on a number of different performance metrics and quality metrics. So if there's lower readmissions rates, if there's lower in-hospital sickness rates, you get a better rate. And what Maine did with their employee health plan, they said that if you decide to go to a hospital that participates in this quality evaluation program, your out-of-pocket fees are waived. And within a couple years, every hospital was participating in this program. And guess what? Maine has the highest quality ratings, according to Leapfrog, of any state's hospitals.
See, even Leapfrog sounds like something that I wouldn't click on.
It was actually started by the Robert Woods Johnson Foundation, which is a big healthcare research organization, and the Business Roundtable. So this is started by employers, the very people, because here's the thing, when we talk about the healthcare problem and that nobody's paying the costs, somebody is. And a lot of times it's the employer, and they want to find a better deal. So this is why they're starting. They want to find better quality at a lower price, and Leapfrog is one of these companies that's starting to move.
Devil's
in the right
advocate
direction.
again. See, but the problem here is you're talking about people making money and profit, and they're going to find a way to game the system, and we just have to take profit out of healthcare altogether. That way we'll have a better system.
Oh, of course. Absolutely. Those countries in Europe, those healthcare systems in Europe and Canada are just delivering amazing healthcare results with those death panels. No, but here's the thing.
Wait, let me pause you right there. See, Charles was being sarcastic because that's not the case. Now, see, I had to say that, Charles, because there are some people out there listening right now. Oh, yeah, Canada and the UK, their systems are great. No, that was sarcasm. They're not great. They suck. Continue, Charles.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. Employers are primarily, yes, they are focused on the bottom line, on their profits, but guess what? It is more profitable to have healthy employees. So they're not just going to look for the shoddy corner hospital down the street that's going to give them a good deal, but might give their employees the wrong medication, because that's going to lead to higher costs down the line. This is why they helped start Leapfrog, this company. So they want to make sure that they're getting good value for their dollar. It's just like when someone is paying for something, it doesn't matter if it's food, if it's cars, if it's computers, and ultimately healthcare. You want the best quality at the lowest price.
Okay,
And
now
these
here's
are
the thing, though, Charles. Who is actually paying the bill? Now, the reason I say that is I've noticed over the years, I came up with an analogy like a decade ago. A kid walks into a candy store with $5. She got his birthday money, and she's going to buy candy, and it's in her hand. And the clerk or the owner of the store is yes mamming this little 5-6-year-old girl because she has $5 in her hand and she's going to get whatever she wants. But what if mom says, I'll spend that for you, and walks into the store and says, you're not going to spend the whole $5, and it's up to mom as to what kind of candy the kid's going to get. And the clerk thinks the kid is annoying and is saying, yes, ma'am, to mom, because even though it's the kid's $5, mom has it. The person who has the money is the person in charge. And so when you talk about people showing up to their doctor and going through a price list and picking the best deals and getting a rebate, where does the money actually come from? Is it the patient's wallet? Is it government? Is it from the insurance company?
So with the way it works, with New Hampshire, these like that Smart Shop, for example, this is the employee health plan. So it's the money that the taxpayers contribute, that's the employer share, if you will, and what the employees pay in for their small share of the premiums and the deductibles. So that's taxpayers and the employees' money. And you're right, when somebody, it is in that example, the mommy is the taxpayer. But right now, taxpayers do a very bad job of saying no to public employees, and that's not necessary. But taking those benefits away is a very politically fraught thing. Right. It always is. But the beauty of this system, of this Smart Shop idea, especially with New Hampshire, is that you did not reduce benefits at all. They didn't change these benefits at all. New Hampshire has a unionized public workforce, and the benefits are very generous. And what they did was they somewhat raised their deductibles, but that's a separate thing. But the most important thing was that they paid them. They paid them to find the best savings. And public employees are just like you and me. If you are going to pay me to do something, I'll do it.
Right.
And it seems to be working.
Okay. Is that something you're going to be suggesting to the state of Wyoming?
Oh yeah, and it's not just going to be. And I think this is something that not just the state legislature should consider. I think school districts around the state and even private employee health plans should consider this. They're ultimately paying the bill, and at a certain point, there's just not going to be money left. And this is the same problem where we discussed the public employee retirement crisis. If you just keep throwing money at these benefits, there's going to be less money left over for roads, education, law enforcement. So why not find a way to get better value so we can get more of all those things?
Okay. Charles Katibi is with Wyoming Liberty Group. He writes extensively about stuff like this. Where do people find your work?
They can go to wyliberty.org, and I testified on this, and I'll be writing more on this later.
All right. Charles, as always, thanks for coming on the program. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. So again, wyliberty.org or ylib.org is the way you find all of that work. And I'm still, though, this is a good idea for people with that public plan working for government, like you said. I'm still in favor of you being in charge of your own healthcare savings account, where money is deducted from your paycheck by your boss and put into an account. So when you need to see the doctor, it's your money, it's your account. And so you're in charge of spending it. And it earns interest. It's not like insurance.
You're listening to Bold Republic with your host, Glenn Wood. Y'all out there hush up now. I want to hear what's on sale at Walmart.
She's one of the wealthiest women in politics. Combined income, $30 million. Tours the world on private jets. Protected by armed guards for 30 years. But she doesn't believe in your right to keep a gun at home for self-defense.
I fully appreciate how hard life is for so many Americans today.
An out-of-touch hypocrite. She'd leave you defenseless. The NRA Political Victory Fund is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Ah, summertime. You know, the great outdoors. You know what half the fun is with getting away from it all? Shopping. I mean, we're talking guns, bows, arrows, knives, camping equipment, from tents to sleeping bags, clothing, bug spray, fishing line, lures, tackle bait, cooking equipment, MREs, even all the latest electronic gadgets, and they've got it all at Rocky Mountain Discount Sports with locations throughout Wyoming. So no matter what you need, before you head out into the great outdoors, do some shopping. That's half the fun, isn't it? Rocky Mountain Discount Sports.
Hello, America. Have you had enough of the NSA spying on you? Would you like to get a little revenge? Well, how would you like to join us as the ASN? The American Stalkers Network is looking for creepy people to out-creep the creeps at the NSA. And if you're one, or you just want to out-creep the federal government, we would like to talk to you. Do you like stalking and hacking on computers? Do you like the idea of staring into a 20th floor city apartment window with a drone camera? Does digging into a complete stranger's personal information excite you? What if that stranger worked for the NSA? Now you're talking. Would you like to take that personal information and turn it over the blogosphere or maybe the IRS? If so, give us a call today, but use a payphone in another state. Oh, and if you've been convicted of unwanted groping, we're going after the TSA next.
gas-powered, diesel-powered, but have you ever considered driving a coal-powered car? Yes, overpriced, heavily subsidized electric cars are available now. I'm sure they'll take all night to charge, and they don't get anywhere near the mileage a gas-powered vehicle gets, and those toxic batteries made from rare earth minerals. Well, but by driving an all-electric car, you're supporting one of America's most important industries. Coal. That's because coal is used to generate 49% of America's electricity. Petroleum and nuclear produce most of the rest. Hydroelectric only produces 7%. Those so-called renewable energies, which take more mining for rare earth minerals, leaves toxic chemicals as a byproduct and toxic batteries. And let's not forget those wind turbines, killing about an estimated 500,000 birds a year in North America alone. Well, they only produce about 2% of America's energy. That's why we encourage you to start driving coal today. The coal is plentiful and cheap, and by driving a coal-powered car, you'll be helping to fight the Obama administration's war on coal. So go on, buy an electric car, support a great American industry, and drive coal.
So, yes, Glenn is pro-gun, but we only let him have one bullet, and we make him keep it in his pocket. Sound familiar?
Inside that man's body is a little child calling out for help.
Let's get back in there. Here's Glenn Woods.
It's the Bold Republic Radio Show, long weekend edition. My name's Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. As always, pretty much everything I talk about, a whole lot more. Come on, sing along. You know this one. BoldRepublic.com, obviously. And speaking of sing along, Al Gore would like you to join in a sing along as he regales you with doom and gloom, and it's all your fault, the end of the world, and mayhem and apocalypse and zombies and stuff like that. Ladies and gentlemen, Al Gore.
You're driving a big car. I come on your radio. I say the end's close. You just say no. I say it's global warming, but you call me a liar. But this planet's on fire.
I was so pleased I was giggling like a stupid little idiot just a minute ago. I'm glad you couldn't hear it. The mic was off. You guys were in commercial break. The story that I have in front of me, it turns out comes with a video. So for those watching on the video stream, look at your monitors because I'm about to play this for you. Here's the headline. Ship of Fools 2. A green Arctic expedition is frustrated by large quantities of sea ice. Oh my God, I'm sorry. Oh, I went to play the video there, and no, there's another way I can do it. It came up scrambled. Sometimes that happens on there. Don't worry, for those people watching on the video stream, I can call this up for you. Yeah, Windows, Ship of Fools. Go ahead, because it's just hysterical. Okay, you can see it now. This is just absolutely hysterical. So these are these Arctic. Again, it's a group of environmentalists. They decided we're going to go up to the Arctic because, from what they have been told, you can now sail through this open passageway. That's not supposed to be there. You're not supposed to be able to sail through that passageway. But lo and behold, they get caught in the ice. They have a sailing boat too. They didn't bring some ice-breaking ship because there wasn't supposed to be any ice. Why would you bring an ice-breaking ship if there's not supposed to be any ice there? They're all stuck in the ice. That's hysterical. They're having a miserable time. Okay. Ship of Fools too. Here's the story. An Arctic expedition designed to raise awareness of the perils of man-made climate change is being frustrated by unexpectedly large quantities of ice. See, here's the thing. Unexpectedly. They were paying attention to what they were being told by a bunch of environmentalist nut jobs. That's why this is unexpectedly to them. They wouldn't be so surprised if they have actually been paying attention to weather forecasts out of that area. The Polar Ice Challenge, whose aim is to circumnavigate the Arctic in a sailing boat while the summer ice melt allows it to be. There's a veteran explorer with them as well. He explained and tried to justify it thusly. Permanent, irreversible change in the sea ice landscape of the Arctic seems inevitable. Now, right there, you know this guy knows nothing about science. Permanent? No such thing. If you bothered to watch over time, or even just check your history on this, the climate has changed how much in how many different directions over the billions of years that the Earth has been here. So what do you mean permanent, irreversible? There isn't any such thing. To the sea ice landscape of the Arctic Sea seems inevitable. Well, it seemed that way. I guess you were wrong. This is already having global economic, political, and social environmental implications. He says, it's a significant change in my lifetime. He writes, I see the possibility to circumnavigate the Arctic as I once wanted to take, despite the risk associated, in order to increase the world's attention of the effect of man-made climate change. There may be a possibility still to curb this warming of the melting ice. But even if this is not possible, the next most important thing at the very least is to help the future with Arctic responsibility. And so they got in their boat. I wonder if they named it the Minnow. I don't know. And they went up to the Arctic and they tried to sail around what, according to all of their climate model predictions, was supposed to be open sea. And their little boat is caught in the ice. Now, the video shows massive chunks of ice all around them, and they have these poles out, and they're trying to push the ice away so they can sail through, and it's just not going to happen. It's too cold up there. There's too much ice. By the way, the Arctic and Antarctic ice is growing, not shrinking. There was a time that it was retreating, but now it's growing back. Now, again, they would know this if they got away from their climate models, which never predict anything properly, and actually paid attention to local weather forecasts. Now, I'm going to make a prediction of my own here, which I hate making predictions, but I'm going to make a prediction of my own. These so-called explorers are not going to be able to believe their own eyes. They're going to come back with some kind of a story as to why man-made climate change caused this or something like that. They're going to come back with something. They won't be able to believe their own eyes.
If and y'all got the interweb, you can find Glenn Wood on the web at www.boldrepublic.com or call 1-844-700-BOLD.
President Obama's Environmental Protection Agency is considering new regulations on ozone that could trigger some new crazy laws, such as bans on lawn mowing during certain times of the day, new parking space taxes, and new fees based on how many miles you drive your car. Visit stoptheepa.com to tell your legislator that President Obama's EPA should stay out of our wallets.
Howdy, folks. This is Swede from Swede Specialties here in Gillette, and I'm here today with Mr. Wimpy. Mr. Wimpy, have you ever tried a home-brewed beer?
Oh, no, I only like Wimpy beer.
Would you like to try a home-brewed beer, Mr. Wimpy?
Well, okay, but just a sip. It looks kind of dark.
Just close your eyes and try it. Whoa. Well, Mr. Wimpy, what do you think of homebrew? Now, that's real beer, Pilgrim. But give Swede a call, 307-686-0588, or go to swedespecialties.com.
bold republic.
Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but a few days ago, while you were spending the Clavenless weekend, hunkered in your underground bunkers, wondering if in the aftermath you'd be able to trade gold bars and water bottles for the last extant DVD of South Side with you, it turns out we missed Women's Equality Day. I know, right? Very, very sad. If we had been together for Women's Equality Day, we could have begun to set aside the gender differences imposed on us by society during the Great Society Gender Difference Imposing Conspiracy, and we could have begun to treat one another as absolute equals. If you're a woman, for instance, you could have stopped regarding me as if I were a, quote, man, unquote, and begun to treat me just as you would treat a, quote, woman, unquote, if you were a, quote, man, unquote. For instance, as I walked by in the hall, you could have said something like, "Good morning, Glory, what's your story?" and then given me a light slap on the backside. And instead of reacting to you as if you were somehow a, quote, woman, unquote, I could have reacted just as I would have reacted if a man had done that, by punching you so hard in the face that your ears flew off the sides of your head and embedded themselves in opposite walls of the room. All right, sorry about that, but unfortunately, we missed Women's Equality Day, so all we can do is address one another politely as we pass, like gendered ships in the night, heading for a life imprisoned within the sexual identities society imposed on us right after 2 or 3 million years of human evolution created them. But if only every day were Women's Equality Day, then every woman would know that instead of getting married and coming under the sway of some man who loved her, instead of raising a bunch of children who would keep annoying her by rising up and calling her blessed all the time because she was the one person in all the world who knew what they were really like and loved them anyway, she could go to work at a business that manufactured gizmos or even widgets and come under the sway of a man who didn't give a damn about her, or even a woman who didn't give a damn about her, but was happy to use her as a gear in a great machine, turning out ultimately useless stuff that would not rise up and call her blessed because it was already obsolete and had to be thrown away to make room for more useless stuff. But alas, Women's Equality Day is over. And so instead, we have to get used to the fact that the gender differences society imposed on us after God created them are one of the chief sources of joy and consolation for just about everyone on earth, but a small number of crabbed, dissatisfied, neurotic, feminist harridans to whom we at the Andrew Klavan Show would just like to say, Happy Women's Equality Day. Now it's over. Get me a beer. Trigger warning, I'm Andrew Klavan, and this is the Andrew Klavan Show.
When you get to the ballot box, what do you remember about the politicians you're voting for? The problem with American politics isn't this guy. It's this guy. So how do you know which one you're going to get? At Conservative Review, we set out to cut through the noise in politics and to give you everything you're interested in and nothing that you're not. We created CR Insider to help you do 3 things: verify, track, and explore. With our Liberty score, you can verify at a glance who's actually conservative and who's just pretending, just for election season. Our customizable dashboard lets you track the politicians you care about, see how they vote, and if their positions change over time. And most importantly, we want you to explore our exclusive content, commentary from the best and brightest conservative authors you won't find anywhere else on the issues you care about most. For the first time ever, there's a trusted source that provides the unvarnished record of politicians, along with political and policy information for the issues you care about most. So whether you're walking into the voting booth, engaged in a lively conversation with friends or family, or simply want to learn more, CR Insider is just for you.
And finally, the NFL will insert tracking chips into some of the footballs used during the upcoming season to analyze field goal kicking and ball placement. The cyber balls used during New England Patriot games will also trigger a low-pressure light on Tom Brady's face mask. I'm Scott Ott, and that's news. Actually.
It's the Bold Republic Radio Show, last half hour-ish of the program. My name's Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. Open phones the rest of the way. 844-700-BOLD is the number, 844-700-2653. And let's see, one more climate change thing. Here's the deal. I try not to spend too much time on the same topic over and over and over again because I know it just gets old after a while. But now and then there's some of these stories pop up and I can't help it. I just got to cover the story. Well, so I worry about giving like too much climate change news. But the thing is, I want you to get bored with the program. See, but the thing is, these climate hoaxers that are out there, they're losing the battle, and they know they are. And so they are getting more and more ridiculous and shrill all the time. And for those who are joining me kind of late, if you missed the last segment here, there's some people who decided to prove, to illustrate how bad global warming is up in the Arctic. They took a sailboat so they can sail around the Arctic continent because obviously it's ice free, so you can do it in a sailboat. And they immediately went up there and got stuck in the ice, which isn't supposed to be there. And so that just shows the utter stupidity of this. But then the hypocrisy has to be constantly exposed because those people who tell you that they're into saving the environment and CO2 is a pollutant and so on they go. When you look at the lifestyles that they live, the big jets, the multiple homes that they have, the SUVs they drive around, and the limousines that they're in, and yet they tell you we all have to cut our carbon footprint. So obviously, either they're liars or hypocrites. And I think a hypocrite is a person who lives in denial. And look, we all get caught in accidental hypocrisy. You ever have a friend or a family member say, but didn't you say, then why are you doing, oh my God, that's kind of hypocritical. Now, if you're a decent, normal person, you catch yourself and you change your behavior. But if you're Leonardo DiCaprio or Al Gore, to name two examples, or John Kerry or Barack Obama, to name two more, then you don't change your behavior at all. You now know that you're a hypocrite, but you'll find some way to lie to yourself to tell yourself that you're not a hypocrite. I don't know how that works. I classify that as a mental disorder. All right, so let me give you one more climate change. The next segment, we'll do a completely different story. Professor tells students, drop the class if you dispute man-made climate change. He will not debate it. Okay, no, anyway, I just want to ask this professor something. If that's the way you want to play, you are not going to, in your class, you are not debating whether man-made climate change is real or not. So if you believe that it's not real, drop the class because I'm not debating it. Okay. Hey, Mr. Professor, I want you to imagine from wherever your classroom is, right across the hallway, there's another professor who disagrees with you. He believes that man-made climate change is a lie, that climate change is completely natural. And he says, do I really need to do this, folks? I'll do it anyway. He says to his students, if you believe that man-made climate change is real, just quit the class now. Just walk out because I'm not even going to debate you. Is that okay? I bet you would say, Mr. Professor, that that's not okay. Not okay for him to do it. Not okay for you to do it. Oh, by the way, by saying that you're not even going to debate it, proves to me that you know you've lost the argument. You know you have. I'm not even going to discuss it or debate it with you. Right, because you can't. You're not capable of it. You know I'll rip you apart, and it frustrates you and angers you to no end. You just want to start throwing chairs across the room. I get it. All right, so let's take a look at the story here. The professor of co-teaching an online course, so he's not even a real professor. Medical humanities in the digital age at the University of Colorado Springs recently told their students via email that man-made climate change is not open for debate, and those who think otherwise have no place in their course. Oh, by the way, if you're going to that college, even online or in person, leave. Just leave. They don't like debate. They don't want debate. They don't want to discuss it. What's the purpose of a university? You're supposed to have open debate and discussion about things like this, about philosophy and science and et cetera, et cetera. You're supposed to. So for a university, for a college professor to say, well, I'm not even going to debate it. I just leave my course. That is absolutely outrageous, because it's beyond outrageous, because it's absolutely the opposite of what a college is supposed to be doing. A university is supposed to be encouraging the debate. But again, this guy is gutless, can't handle it. All right, so here's a quote. The point of departure for this course is based on scientific premise that human-induced climate change is valid and current. We will not at any time debate the science of climate change, nor the other side of climate change debate be taught or discussed in this course, he said by email. Well, again, I would, if I could offer people advice, just drop the course. Everybody, just drop the course. Because this guy is not interested in science or a healthy discussion about anything. Signed by the course's Professor Rebecca Lorsch or something like that, so it's a woman. And there's two others there. They're all three women. It was sent after several students expressed concern for their success in the course after watching the first online lecture about the impacts of climate change, opening up the debate that 98% of climate scientists unequivocally agree is distracting from the central concern. In other words, students said, you're trying to tell us that 98% of scientists agree. That's just flat out not true. That is a lie. 98% of scientists do not agree. They don't even want to discuss that. Now, once again, the problem that these professors have is the 98% number. I've already done it several times on this program. It is very easy to prove that that is fake. It is false. It is a lie. So, once again, they can't even stand up to that part of the debate. 98% of scientists agree. Really? Give me 1 minute and 32 seconds, and I will show you why you have been lied to about that and how really wrong that is. But they don't even want to discuss that. Okay, so for all of the kids, even those people in the class who would say that, well, of course, man is causing climate change. If I could offer you some advice, please. Get out of the course. The purpose of science, the purpose of it is discovery. And part of the way you get that discovery is by healthy debate. Scientists don't sit around agreeing with each other on things. Well, that's settled science. There's no discussion anymore. And then kicking out of the room anybody who disagrees. That's not how this works. If anyone stands up in the room and says, well, I disagree with that, then they're encouraged to step up and speak to everybody in the room. That's how science really works.
Call Glenn, dial 1-844-700-BOLD. I don't know what number it is, but it's 700-BOLD. B-O-D, yeah, that one.
Hello, Americans. Rod here with My Made in America store here in Gillette, Wyoming. Did you know if every American spent an extra $3.33 on U.S.-made goods, it would create almost 10,000 jobs here in our country? We would like to thank all those who support American jobs. You are the solution for the economic problems we have today. Don't forget to ask about our military and first responder discounts. Never forget your veterans. God bless America. Buy American. It matters. Check us out online. MyMadeInAmericaStore.com.
Wimpy, are you still drinking that homebrewed beer the Swedes from Sweet Specialties help you to make?
Why, yes, dear. I sure am, whiny. Why do you ask?
We never have any good wine around here. I would like something really good.
All I hear around here is wine, wine, wine. Why don't you get the makings from Swede at Swede Specialties? He can help you make really good wine right here at home. Give Swede a call, 686-0588, or go to swedespecialties.com.
Over the next 4 years, liberal policies of more spending, higher taxes, and a growing dependence on government will threaten America's future. Now more than ever, conservatives must take a stand.
This is the greatest country on earth. We are a leader for the world, and we need to continue to be.
The Heritage Foundation will take a stand, and we will lead the charge in offering principled solutions to America's biggest challenges, from spending and tax reform to reducing the size of government and maintaining a strong national defense. Call 1-855-502-2927 to join the Heritage Foundation today and receive a Heritage membership pack that includes a free pocket constitution, a subscription to our daily e-newsletter, The Morning Bell, and a window sticker that tells the nation you stand with Heritage. Call 1-855-502-2927 right now.
I consider the Heritage Foundation to be my voice in Washington.
Take a stand for conservative principles. Call 1-855-502-2927 right now.
Look, we need energy. Some say gotta rely on alternatives, wind, solar, or stick with oil, natural gas, traditional energy. Try this, all of the above. Now that's real energy security. I'm Maggie and I'm an energy voter.
We've got to build the economy for the future. Abundant American oil and natural gas can give us a real leg up. More affordable energy, better jobs, more money for our communities. That's going to work for generations to come. I'm Melanie, and I'm an energy voter.
It's a new day in America. Today, more people will go to work, return home to their families, and sleep more soundly than ever before. All because one man refuses to settle, putting people before politics. That man is Frank Underwood.
America, I'm only getting started. I'm Frank Underwood, and I approve this message.
Don't have time to catch the entire show live? Log in to boldrepublic.com to hear or watch the show anytime you like. On any device you have, phone, tablet, tower, laptop, Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Google, YouTube, you name it. Glenn's jacked in so many ways, he looks like Neo in The Matrix when he woke up in that pod. You know, the goop and wires hanging and they float. Well, anyway, you get the idea.
Not like that. Far from it.
Watch or listen to the show when you're able. Any way you like, boldrepublic.com.
Pardon me, clearing my throat into the microphone. Very unprofessional. Last 9.5 minutes of the program, Bold Republic is on. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. So, okay, last topic here. I came across an article from the Daily Signal, which, by the way, I would recommend subscribing to because they got some great articles. And I looked at this and I thought, I understand. I might have to write a note to the author here, Beverly. What Beverly's trying to do. But I think it fell short. Beverly writes an article, 3 strategies to talk to liberals about income inequality. All right. And she offers some good advice in it, but here's how you talk to people. I'm going to tell you how you talk to people about income inequality. Step 1, if somebody is earning more money than you, as long as they did it honestly, it is none of your business how much they earn. Now, if you would like to earn more money, you can do it too. The lie is that there's only so much available, and so, the rich are hoarding it all. Not at all. Now, in last hour of the program, I made a pie analogy. This time, though, I'm going to make it slightly different. I want you to imagine you live in a neighborhood, a subdivision, where all the homes are divided up with their fences around them and so on. And you have a backyard. All right. Your neighbor goes out and starts to grow a garden. And he works hard at it and fills his garden with vegetables. And you got out there and sort of tried a little bit, and you got a couple of sad-looking tomato plants. Well, the answer here is, There's nothing wrong with your neighbor having this big, lush, full garden in his backyard. And you might sit there and envy him. But it's none of your business that he has that. But you could have had that much. Well, you got to, if you had done what he was doing, you could have had that much. Don't give me this victim crap. You can have that. You got to work for it. And yes, it's hard. And yes, it takes a lot of hours to do it. And there's times you feel like it's never going to happen, but you just keep pushing. And then one day you turn around, look at your yard and go, oh my dear Lord, look what I've created here. The idea that it's not fair and the system is rigged. If we were truly living in a free market economy, anybody has the opportunity to create as much wealth as they possibly can. Here's the thing, wealth and money, two different things. I'm not talking about money. Michael Moore, the idiot, makes documentaries and so on, one time said, well, there's only so much money available, and we've allowed it to accumulate in the hands of just a few people, which means he knows nothing about economics. The money is it's just rivers of money flowing out there. There's not a single rich person that has a bank vault with $1 billion in cash sitting in it. It doesn't work that way. If you sold everything that billionaire has, you could possibly sell it for $1 billion. But he doesn't have $1 billion in cash sitting around. It's not how it works. His businesses, his homes, et cetera, et cetera. When you sell everything that he has for cash, it might come out to about $1 billion. That's why it's said that he's worth that much, but he doesn't have $1 billion. The money is in circulation, and we all have access to it. But you've got to create something to make people take the money that they have and hand it to you, thus continuing the circulation of the money. A product or a service. What do you got? What do you got? You got a product or a service. And if you try creating, let's say you get into your dream job and you're not making any money at that dream job. Two things here. Either you're not good at it or something has to change about your job to make you successful at it. I know a lot of people who want to get into their dream job, and they try to get into it, and they found out they just didn't have a talent for it. And so they went on to do some other line of work. That happens sometimes. And I know, and I really feel bad. A lot of people that I meet have soul-crushing jobs. I've had soul-crushing jobs. I hated going to work every single day. I've been there, done that. But if you work hard at it and produce, people will hand you money for what you produce. The idea of income inequality is a lie created by socialists. This goes back to the pie analogy from last hour. The socialist mentality, their idea is that everybody works together collectively. You're told what job you need to do. You bring whatever you produce that you were ordered to produce. You put it into the big pile and it gets made into a huge pie. And then government comes along and evenly divides up the pie and everybody gets an equal slice. That's the theory. Never works that way. Those at the top, and especially those politically connected at the top, they end up getting fat while everybody else gets crumbs. Look at Venezuela right now. China. The old Soviet Union. It doesn't work. But what if you're in charge of making your own pie? It is not, that's a free market system. It is now up to you to decide. How big do you want it to be? What kind of pie do you want? You want ice cream on top? How about whipped cream and a cherry? That's up to you. Or do you decide that you're going to just make a basic pie? That's good enough and I'm fine with it. And some people like to live like that. Some people are minimalist. Some people decide, I want a little piece of land. I want a tiny home. I'm good. I don't need the stress of it. I don't want a limousine. I don't need a big house. That means I would have to take care of all of that. I want to live small. I don't need that much. Some people consciously make that decision, and there's nothing wrong with that. Other people consciously make the decision, I want an airplane, I want a mansion, I want a yacht, and they go work for that. It's completely up to you. Those people who control most of the wealth in this country, they control it because, in the world for that matter, they control it because they created it. It's theirs. It belongs to them. Would you like to be one of them? You can. It's just a lot of hard work to get there. That's the whole idea of income inequality. It's not fair because the rich are hoarding all the stuff. No, you can go make your own stuff anytime you want. Get out there and do it. Now, there's a difference between the guy who paid attention in school and got good grades, and then went out and got a job and worked hard and worked his way up the ladder, if you will, and then finally became successful. And he works nights, he works weekends, he went back to night school in college to get extra degrees. I mean, he really pushed himself. He skips vacations, he skips weekends. There's that guy, and he winds up successful. Then there's the guy who works his 40 hours, comes home and pops open his six-pack at night and watches TV. And on the weekend, goofs around and plays, which is certainly his right if that's what he wants to do. But he's got to understand, if he looks up the road and sees the mansion from the first guy I just mentioned, well, it's not fair that he has all that. Yes, it is. He worked for it. He earned it. You decided, on the other hand, just to put your basic 40 hours in and not go back to school for extra degrees and not work nights and weekends. You didn't get a second job to bring in more money. And so because you decided not to push yourself like that, well, here you are living in a little trailer somewhere. Well, don't go blaming the rich guy for that. He didn't put you there. You put you there. That's a good argument about income inequality, which some people don't want to hear, because if they're not successful, they want to believe because it's not fair. That's what they want to think, that it's not fair.